We are live. We are live, ladies and gentlemen. We are live back in here after a doozy, after a barn burner that I had on Monday. Took Tuesday off, but we are back. We are back in the saddle. We are back ready to go. Going to be back, getting back into this. Got a number of topics on the table. We'll be touching on the Jonah Hill situation where I thought he got Me Too'd, but really it was just an ex complaining about what he required in a relationship. It was weird. We're going to talk about that. We're going to break that down. We also got, what else do we got? Obviously, the main topic that you see in the title and the thumbnail of the black woman apologizing to the community for her actions and behaviors. We're gonna get into that. Corey Holcomb and Willie D squashed the beef. I'm really disappointed about that. We needed like two more rounds. Of Corey Holcomb going in on Boyce Watkins. I was actually enjoying that. What else are we going to get into? It's a number of things on the table that we will be getting into. So strap on in. Let's get ready to go. It's something else I wanted to say to start the show. I think I got it all. Strap on in. Let's get ready to go. Let's get it.
Welcome to Machismo TV, the ultimate destination for modern men seeking to upgrade their lifestyle. Subscribe to Machismo TV and Saul T-Balls. We stream daily from 12 midnight to 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, the best male-centric content. Highlight reels without reviewing or providing any editorial bias to the content. We have done so much, with so little for so long, we are now qualified to do anything, with nothing.
Peace, folks. This is X from TPOT Media. Open your mind and wake your black ass up. You know what time it is. Hit that damn like button as you make your way in the door. Grab a seat, settle in, get ready. It's the Grown Man Hour with your host, my man, Bernard Riley.
What is going on? Barely made it back to my seat. Shout out to everybody in the building. Oh man, if y'all could only see the stuff that goes on behind the scenes. I gotta take a sip. Before we get things started. Shout out to everybody in the building. Shout out to the early bird squad, those of you that make it in bright and early before we even get things started. Shout out to Little Rock. Says, yo. Shout out to Emmett Perry. Let me get all the way in here. Shout out to, all right, here we go. We in here now. Shout out to Emmett Perry. Says, apologize. F out of here. Says, get out of here with that. Excalibur in the building says, salute, Brother Bernard. Cole still in the building. Good example of how women switch up to impress the man who's in front of them at the moment. Hey, interesting take on that. Interesting take on that. Guess he's saying she switched up because that was the man that was in front of her at the moment. And then right now, the black community is the man in front of her at the moment. And yeah, she gotta switch on back. I see what you did there. Definitely see what you did there. Shout out to my father's son. I like that name. Says hashtag black girl tragic. Shout out to Mike and Vince Perkins. Says black women, you ain't pop none of that ish in front of us. Nick, N-word, nigger. Nick says nigger. Black woman laughs twerkingly. I didn't know you could laugh twerkingly. That is interesting. That is interesting. Laughing twerkingly. Black James in the building says, I hope you do not mind me taking a few minutes to comment. I said, he says, I hope you do not mind me taking a few minutes to comment. But I don't know what you're saying, brother. I don't know what you're saying, but no, I don't mind. Shout out to Gerald Johnson. Shout out to Fifi. Says, I've been hearing that she is Haitian, though. I don't know why that matters. I don't know why that matters. This whole FBA ADOS, that's a new development. I know there are some people draw a hard line in the sand about that stuff, and there are people on that side of the aisle, the tethers, as they call them, that are, anti-Black American. They're pretty anti-Black American. That's not her. She's pretty, if you look at her Instagram, she's pretty damn pro-Black. So you hide her behind the, oh, she's not ADOS thing. She's pretty pro-Black. So I think she switched up or did whatever she did in the same context that an American Black woman who's pro-Black would do it. So I don't think that could be really thrown out there. BL in the building, Uncle Flair, Xander with a Z, the standard RLC, Winthrop says, breathe, yo. Yeah, I gotta breathe. Gotta breathe. Xander with a Z in the building. All right, let me get to it. Shout out, I see Hood Servitor down there. Shout out. All right. Xander with a Z in the building says, let me start it off by saying, we do not accept. Fuck out of here. That's what he's on. All right, I got a few topics to get into before I get all the way into that one. So bear with me. It's a number of things that I want to touch on, but shout out to you. Appreciate you putting $2 on
these last $2. I'm not gonna lose.
Shout out to you. I was feeling that. I need a longer cut of that. But all right, this is what we about to get into. It's a number of things on the table. I do want to start off by explaining a few things that I saw. This is something that I saw yesterday. Something that I observed yesterday. Me and my woman, who's a Black woman, dark-skinned Black woman with natural hair. We went to a little thing at the local art museum. All right. It's like on the outside of the art museum. It's like a big fancy garden where you could walk around and do stuff. And I don't know if they normally do this, but it was kind of weird. It was like a little mini concert at an art museum. And so we went there. It was some drinks, bought a little drink and then sat there and enjoyed the music and the scenery. All right. That's what we did. This is the interesting part. The chicks that was performing, I should have took a picture of them. They were like some India Arie, Marshan Ambrosio looking chicks singing some soulful, eclectic songs that they write that you could find on Spotify, iTunes, or Apple Music or wherever, whatever. I didn't go look it up. It was some nice music though. Nice music. Marshan Ambrosio, Sade type of vibes, little India Arie type of, okay. The reason I'm bringing all of that up, okay, the reason all of that is relevant because one of them would like speak, the lead singer, she would speak in between like songs. Okay, one of them would speak in between songs, and she would try to tell like the Marvel origin story of the song that she wrote. And when she was talking, and she said, "Yeah, and that's one of those things that all us femme people go through." And I was like, "Femme people?" I like looked at my girl. I was like, "Femme people?" But I was like, "That's a new one." She threw out the term "femme people," and I figured out with little thinking and a little googling that femme people. That's my first time hearing it. Maybe I heard it before. Femme people is a word that they use, sort of like how they use the term birthing people when they talk about people who have kids. They want to make sure when they say femme people, they want to make sure that they're not excluding men who are feminine or feminine presenting. It was like an all-inclusive word, because if she felt like if she said, because the things that us women go through with our emotions, it's like she didn't want to say that and then exclude the men who are femme, who have those same emotions. So that's where the word femme people. So it's like so it's like that was my first time hearing that. I'm like, oh, they first redefined what a woman was. And now it's like now they're getting rid of they're trying to get rid of the word woman. No, femme people. That's what I heard, femme people, for the first time. It was a new one. Laughing Dog says, sounds like a very white experience. How did BR survive? Internet says attacks are common around those gatherings. No. It was probably 70% white people there, though. It was. But the museum, most of the art in the museum was kind of like black art, though. But I think white people run the museum. It's interesting. But anyway. Yeah, I wanted to run femme people by you, conservative. I'm glad you're listening, because femme people was a new one for me. All right, what else would happen with me yesterday? So sometime after that, cruising through all the different streaming apps, I, stumbled across a movie that came out in 2016. Y'all probably heard of it. It's called like the South Side and Me, or the South Side and Me, the South Side and You, or something like that. It's basically a movie about Barack Obama and Michelle Obama, Michelle Robinson at the time. It was about their first date. It was a movie about their first date. Now, I watched that movie. I think I had seen it before. I just wasn't paying attention the first time. But when I watched it this time, because probably in 2016, my perception probably wasn't as what it is now. But right now, when I was watching that shit, I was like, hold on. They put together a Barack and Michelle movie. Now, keep in mind, it started out showing all the goings on the south side of Chicago, kids out there playing, jump roping in, water hose. They had a fire hydrant turn? No, they didn't have a fire hydrant turned on playing in the fire hydrant. But no. None of that. But the first shot of Barack, I didn't notice this my first time watching this, probably back in 2016. It was on Netflix. I saw it on HBO Max. This was the first shot of Barack in that movie. The very first shot of Barack, the guy portraying Barack, was a nigga who's, one, 4 shades too dark to play Barack, but secondly, smoking a Newport and a wife beater. I'm like, God damn. Like this was their depiction of 1989 Barack. I was like, whoa. I had to pull out my phone and take a picture of that shit. they straight got the first black president, in a movie depicting him in 1989 when he still was attending Harvard, mind you. He still was finishing up at Harvard, or had either just finished at Harvard. I'm not sure. Either was just finishing up or about to just finish up. And the first image in the movie that they showed of him is him smoking a Newport wearing a wife beater, just and doing it all in the most niggardly way possible. That's the depiction. That's the first image they showed of him, and the shit is looking like the Mac the Trucker said Pookie Obama. It was serving to say is a Harvard real nigga. Yeah, that shit was funny. I couldn't help but laugh. Like James said, that's my brother, and I feel you. I feel you. They should have had him firing up a joint. They should have had him going and fired up a joint. I would have loved it. I would have loved it. But it got me kind of looking at other depictions of Barack and Michelle. And this is kind of old too. The internet already went ham on Viola Davis. Let me slide over a little bit. The internet already kind of went ham. The sisterhood, they joined forces in their criticism of Viola Davis for her depiction of Michelle Obama, because she spent the whole show. This was a show, a series, I think called First Lady or something like that, where they depict, they do like a little series where they depict, various different first ladies. They did Jackie O, and they did Michelle Obama, obviously, and I forgot who else they did. But they had Viola Davis play Michelle Obama, and yeah, the internet let her have it, because they was like, why were you holding your mouth like that the whole time? It's like the whole damn show, her lips was like just exaggeratedly puckered out the whole damn show. And it's like the internet let her have it about that. And, and I don't know if I did. I can't remember if I did any content on it. I can't remember if I cared, but it just made me go deep diving into all the cinematic or TV show, every depiction of Barack and Michelle, and it's always something weird. It's like every picture is like she's overemphasizing her lips, like that. And okay, truth be told, okay, they did find a picture that Michelle actually doing that, but when I tell y'all, it's like the whole damn show, she was just walking around with her lips like that the whole show. The whole goddamn show. And I gotta ask the question. And yeah, I see you bringing up the Woman King. After she did the Woman King, everybody forgave her. But they was mad at her. Because I gotta ask the question. Is she cooning just a little bit? Is she cooning just a little bit by doing like by just overemphasizing them lips like that? It's like she's doing her lips the way that I think white people imagine our lips. Like I think white people think that we do our lips like that. It's like that got to be. I mean, they call everything cooning. It's like this got to be a splash of cooning. Yeah, yay, nay. I'm like, it's like and all the stuff to get called cooning. I'm just like, they letting her rock. They letting her rock. Or was it the white director? Could you do that thing with the lips? Just make it a little more. Add a little more color to it. Just do that little thing that you do. But it just looked very blackface to me. It looked very blackface to me. I just like wow. But yeah, every depiction of Barack and Michelle, this one, is always, it's just a little something there. Just a little something there where it's like, hold on. But anyway, I digress. I digress. I do want to get into a number of things before I make my way to the main topic. I do want to get into a number of things before I make my way to the main topic. The Jonah Hill thing. The Jonah Hill. And yeah, of course, y'all know who Jonah Hill is. Of course, yeah, no, I don't need to explain that. He's recently been under fire for more or less stating to the woman that he was with at the time the things that he required and expected in a relationship, and she outed it. And she outed it. That simple. That simple. You know, this is a text message that he sent her where he's saying that these are things that you can't do in our relationship. Surfing with men, you know, boundaryless, inappropriate friendships with men. You know, he's not saying that, not lying to me. He's saying you can have some boundaryless, inappropriate friendships with men if you're with me. He says to model. I guess she does some modeling. I don't know if some real modeling or some internet IG modeling. I don't know. He says to post pictures of yourself in bathing suits. Yes, but you can't advertise. To post sexual pictures. Friendships with women who are in unstable places and from your wild recent past beyond getting lunch or coffee or something respectful. Look, I feel him. I feel him 100% on that part. I understand that you have some friends. I understand the idea of saying that, look, I'm not just going to say you can't have these friends, but you're not about to be in the questionable places. I mean, these are people you knew before me. Y'all can still go do brunch. Y'all can get a cup of coffee. But no, y'all don't go do that nightlife shit no more. Not while you with me. I feel them. I see nothing wrong with that. Jaquan got a potential cape on saying, but she's a pro surfer. Okay. Pro surfers know how to, find time to surf and train, and they got surfer friends, but your guy surfer dude shirt off, 6-pack of guy friends who you get in your bathing suit, and then they get in their little boy shorts, and they y'all go. We're just surfing. I surf for real. I surf for a living. I'm just surfing with friends. No, he out on the beach in a bikini with a bunch of chads. No, nah. There's plenty of times, ways, and opportunities where you can go surf and hone your craft as a surfer. There's plenty of ways you could do that. Plenty of ways that don't involve you going out with your guy friends. This man is not tripping. Somebody is saying in the chat room that he listened to the Manosphere. Yes, I agree. Because this simp ass dude, this simp ass therapist is one of the only voices that we used to hear. One of the only voices that used to be heard when it came to men speaking on issues like this, because he used to only hear women really truly speaking on it. And then they would get men to speak on it, and the men would be just as feminine as the women in their lingo. But now that men are speaking up and analyzing these things, like for example, the pictures, posting sexual pictures and all of that, like we know that and we understand. Like I see that part right there where it says posting sexual pictures. Hopefully I can see all that just fine. He's saying she can't post sexual pictures. All right. Hopefully, put it like this. It's a real simple point that a lot of people in this space have pointed out. That obviously when a man goes out, he has to approach women, he has to talk to women, he has to holler at women, he has to be, he got to be on the scene and on the grind. You got to actually make that leap to go and enter and to start and spark conversation with people. That's a different monster, okay? That's a different monster than what the women have to do. And just like that guy, if he's in a relationship and they're supposed to be monogamous, he just can't go and be striking up conversations with random chicks that look good. Well, quite naturally, a woman in a relationship where they supposed to be together, they together for real, they ain't just fucking, no, they together for real, will she can't get sexual and get dressed up all sexual and post pictures and advertise to other men that she's available. So that, I mean, those are the rules of modern monogamy. If you're doing that, you're not supposed to go holler at chicks, and she not supposed to put on shit or post shit to try to entice guys to holler. But they try to equalize that and say, I don't go hit on guys. Well, of course you don't. You're a fucking woman. We know you don't hit on guys. We know that. But you're for damn sure putting a for sale sign in the window. Men, you used to never hear men say that. You used to never hear men say that, but you hear that shit all the time now, to the point to where somebody like Jonah Hill, who would be getting slow walked down the path of cocodry with this chick, saying, oh, I just got friends. Oh, I don't go approaching and trying to get at guys. I don't know. You don't know. You don't have to. You're a woman. You just advertise. He's saying you can't advertise. That's it. That's it. Celine, I don't know what conversation you in, but you're saying Nick is not a Chad. We're not talking about Nick Fuentes right now. So you're not in the right conversation. We're talking about Jonah Hill. Simps are still out here clinging to relationships where the woman checked out mentally and emotionally long ago. Tragic. Yes, but that's not what's happening right here. This is a man who's, he's open to being in a relationship. He's just drawing a hard line in the sand of what he requires. He's giving an ultimatum. This is how I get down. This is how I roll. You're either rolling with me or you're not. Or you can't get down with you can't you're not picking up what I'm laying down. Then okay, keep walking. No problem with what Jonah Hill is doing. None whatsoever. Don't matter if he didn't get money until he got women. Don't matter. That's not a knock. Now, it's that shit that you're saying right there, that's only a knock if somebody who didn't get money until they got women is trying to convince everybody. I mean, I'm sorry. If somebody who didn't get women until he got money is trying to convince everybody that he get women off the mouthpiece, off game. That's the only time it's a problem, if the person is being fake. But if somebody is just fat and sloopy and schlubby and been that way his whole damn life, but then at some point he becomes successful and got money and status, he didn't have the mouthpiece or the game to get it. He didn't have the looks to get him, but he got him off money and status, and that's how he got him. He still could draw a hard line of what he will accept and what he won't accept. And if you are getting those women off your game, you still draw a hard line about what you will accept and what you won't accept. And if you're getting them off your money, you still draw a hard line about what you will accept and what you won't accept. So it don't matter how you getting them. Now that you got them, what do you require, and what bullshit? I mean, are you going to put up with some bullshit or not? He's basically saying, I'm not going to put up with some bullshit. I understand that I'm fat and funny looking, but if you my woman and I'm doing shit for you, no, you're not about to be fucking, surfer dude Chads on the side. Just that. Ain't nothing wrong with him drawing those lines. Not a damn thing wrong with him drawing those lines. Now, let's see what a therapist, they want to say, men never go to therapy to get their emotions and blah, blah, blah. And you need to get in touch with your emotions and understand and blah, blah, blah. Okay, this is why men don't go to therapy, because we about to hear a damn therapist break this. Y'all just heard me break this situation down. Now you're about to hear a therapist break this shit down. This shit right here used to pass as advice for men once upon a time.
His girlfriend, Sarah, his now ex.
But this.
Jonah Hill was using therapy speak to control his girlfriend, Sarah, his now ex-girlfriend. And it's important that we go over this misuse of therapy language, which is kind of a thing these days, and how it can be super problematic as it masks controlling behavior under a commonly accepted positive concept, in this case, boundaries, making it harder for the person on the receiving end, Sarah, to challenge it. Okay. So Jonah is basically telling his professional surfer girlfriend, I am not going to be with you if you surf with men, have boundaryless friendships with men, model, post pictures in a bathing suit, or post suggestive pictures, and are friends with women who are in unstable places. He goes on to say that these are my boundaries for a romantic relationship. Jonah's use of the term boundaries in this message is a misuse of the concept. A boundary is a healthy limit a person sets for themselves to protect their well-being and integrity. It is a rule or guideline that one creates to identify reasonable, safe, and permissible ways for others to behave towards them and how they'll respond when someone passes those limits. However, in the message Jonah sent to Sarah, he is not setting boundaries that protect his emotional well-being. Instead, he is dictating what behaviors and friendships Sarah is permitted to have. He's essentially instructing.
That is bullshit. That is wholesale bullshit. And the reason that is wholesale bullshit is that it would never be the case. Never be the case that you would find a male therapist looking at the opposite equivalent of that, of a woman telling a guy, expressing to a guy all the things that she won't put up with. I'm not going to deal with you yelling at me and punching holes in the wall when you get mad and all of that stuff. I'm not going to deal with you when you get upset, or if when you go out and you drink and you stay out all late with your friends and you did that, and I feel like that's violating the relationship and blah 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 blah. A woman gets deep into all of that. She put it in a text message, clear the ways that he is violating the relationship. He wouldn't then turn around and say she's using the word boundary to try to control him. She's just controlling him. No. He would say that she is putting out proper guidelines of what she expects, and he would be expected, if he's going to be with her, to adhere to that. So everything always amounts to the man adhering to what the woman wants. The man has to adhere to what the woman wants, but when the man tries to get her to adhere to some things or require that she adhere to some things, he's being controlling. That's what it is. That's what they do. That's why men do not go to therapy. That's why men do not go to therapy. I remember I was listening to Dr. T.S. Johnson, and he was talking about how, I think he was talking about him and his wife. I hope, apologies if I get this story wrong because it involves his wife. but I think he was talking about him and his wife, at therapy. And I think he was telling her in between sessions that this our therapist, she hates men, or she hates black men. And then he was telling his wife that, but then over time, the wife realized that, the wife stopped in the middle of therapy and looked at him and was like, you know what? I think she do hate men. It's like that's the type of stuff that goes on there. That's the type of stuff that goes on there. Shout out to Ray Author. He says, notice Jonah put his boundaries in private, and it still went public. They still made the man the bad guy at the end of they going to make your conversation public for sympathy, fishing when they mad. You worded that a little. I got what you're saying, but yeah, y'all throw me off when y'all have slight typos. I can't handle the slightest of typos. But but no, I get what you're saying. Yeah, he sent that public. He sent that private. He sent a private message to a woman that he was with, and she made it public to out him for what I don't fucking know. To out him for what I don't fucking know. I'm glad people could see that this is bullshit, because it is bullshit. But shout out to you. Thank you. Appreciate the $10 super chat.
What do we get for $10? Everything you want.
Shout out to JC the Conqueror in the building for putting $10 on it. Do appreciate that.
What do we get for $10? Everything you want.
Hey, get out of there with that Bernard Mayweather. It's Bernard Mayweather when it was written perfectly and I mess up. Then it's Bernard Mayweather. If they have the slightest typo, I mean a missing comma, then every mistake that I make while reading it is excused. All right. If they miss a comma, it's all on them. And I cannot be held accountable for bad reading.
Sarah on who she can be friends with, what she can do professionally, and how she can show up online.
It is an example of boundary setting. That is violating the boundaries of a relationship if she thinks she can still have her ass out on the internet. That is violate the boundaries. It is a boundary thing if let's just say hypothetically, if hey, I got a friend who owns a strip club. He works a lot. I want to hang out with my friend at the strip club where all the friends of the guy who owns the strip club the strippers have sex with him for free, but that's my friend and I want to hang out with my friend. If the woman says, hey, I don't feel comfortable with you hanging out with your friend at the strip club, oh no, she's trying to be controlling and tell him who he can be friends with. If he's it's like the bullshit is so thorough, just so deep at this point, where they intellectualize. They're at university creating new words to describe the bullshit that's basically supposed to cuck you. Like they're working that hard at it. They're working that damn hard at it.
Reflects an attempt at control. It demonstrates a lack of respect for Sarah's autonomy and individuality. Jonah's message is more about restricting Sarah's behavior to suit his comfort levels and insecurities rather than expressing his feelings or needs.
I just wonder if a woman was not comfortable with her guy going out with his friends and drinking to 4 a.m. He's trying to would he say she's trying to restrict his level of comfortability in how he presents himself and how he actualizes and how he interacts with his friends.
And individuality. Jonah's message is more demonstrates a lack of respect for Sarah's autonomy and individuality.
Autonomy and individuality. Basically saying look the other way and let her do sluttish things.
Jonah's message is more about restricting Sarah's behavior to suit his comfort levels and insecurities rather than expressing his feelings or needs in a healthy manner.
All right, thanks, Jeff. Love you, Jeff. One thing that was sort of fascinating.
I don't know who the fuck this is. I just stole the clip from him. He got that Ron Burgundy. What the fuck? Why the hell do this dude got a 70s porn star mustache? Like, what is why is he doing that to himself? I don't know who this guy is. He's a guy who I don't know the therapist YouTube channel. I don't know where that's at or his Twitter. So I just like found it on this dude's channel. And I don't know why he got that Ron Burgundy Joe. He like got the Joe Dirt hair with the Ron Burgundy mustache. Like this dude just looked like an extra in that 70s show. Like how the hell is he just walking around in 2023 like that? How? Or that 80s show. My bad. Yeah. Like how is he walking around like this? Like what kind of time warp are you in? Like damn. All right, let me get him out of here. Let me get Joe Burgundy out of here. Oh. Harm said he rocking that porn stash. I'm sorry. I don't know if you wanted me to say that was you. It was a porn stash. Oh man. All right, let's get into it. Where we at? We at the 40-minute mark. All right, let me pull up the video of the apology. Let me pull up the JC the Conqueror. You saying you love my shirt or his shirt? Whose shirt do you? Okay, his shirt is just a regular ass shirt. You saying you love my shirt? Okay, that's gay. All right, that's gay. Cut that gay shit out. All right, no, I'm just playing. All right, so he said my shirt. Yeah, you got to. You can't say I love that shirt. You have to say I don't know how you word it, but it's gay. Can't say you love another man's shirt. I don't know how you're supposed to express that you know it's a nice shirt. I think that I don't know. I don't know the rules, but I feel violated. I love that shirt, Bernard. I feel violated. You just me too'd me. Us New Yorkers love fashion. Y'all out there voguing. All right, here we go. Let's get into this. Let's do it. Here we go.
Hold up.
All righty. Should be pulled up. All right. I actually uploaded the original video of her saying this, and it just said the file was too big for me to use it on StreamYard. I want to go see what the comment section say, so I am gonna damn, RM, look up her gram for me and then put it in the back, because I do want to look at the comments. I want to look at her comments and see what they say. But all right, let me get right to the beginning. I had to lift this off of O'Shea because the file I had ready to go, they said it was too big.
Run away from things as y'all.
They said it was too big of a file for me to use. All right.
Show, and the first is
to take her life, and she seems like.
Oh yeah, that was something weird. Some people giving her death threats. I mean, internet is crazy. That's fucked up. But all right, that's the picture that I guess you got to give the most apology for kissing Nick Fuentes on the cheek. But all right, let's go.
Again, like she didn't know who he was, or according to her, and that she felt that.
All right.
But let me play what she had to say, and then I'm going to come back.
So this live is addressing the photo that I took with Nick. This would be my third time on the show, and the first two times it was about relationships. You get what I'm saying?
Yes, this is probably the most blackest chick on there. It was two of them that basically made the argument that they only want to reproduce with black men, or more or less they think black people should only reproduce with black men, that they should to keep the black race alive and everything. Like that's peak level pro-blackness when you're looking at your own reproducing in the context of the survivability of the black race. You're pro-black as pro-black could get. And she said she think God, was, had a sense of humor when he made white people or something like that. Like she said some things. So yeah, needless to say, yes, she's a pro-black one.
Saying, this would be my third time on the show, and the first two times it was about relationships. You get what I'm saying? Men versus women. I'll say that. So that's what my mind. I miss you too. That's what my mind was on. That's what I was prepared for. I was prepared to go in and defend myself as a woman, because that's usually what you have to do when you go on that show. Unfortunately, that's not what happened this time. So like I said yesterday when I was trying to do this live, that 5 or 10 minutes before the show, we see Nick and we confused because we're like, why is this white boy here? We don't even know who Nick is. We never heard of Nick, any of that.
Okay, now this is a smaller issue. I'll say this. If she's been on the show 3 times, if she's been on that show 3 times, I think she knows the general gist of how it works. It's normally a special guest, and it's quite often a male guest in addition to Fresh and Fit being there. It is, because whoever they interview during the day show, they at least half the time they come back. Excuse me. At least half the time they come back for the night show with the women. At least half the time. So it's not uncommon that you get there and it's a guy there that you didn't know was going to be there. And she didn't know it was Nick Fuentes. You say that, okay, that's fine. That's no big deal. And that's a small issue. And I don't even know why she feels that she needs to explain that one. And I think the reason that she got explained is because people are saying that she sounds stupid, which I think she did. However, a lot of things that she said, they're not uncommon things. So it's almost like she's saying, I wasn't ready for a debate, but no, I think she argued generally what they argue. So I think a lot of people are being disingenuous saying that, oh, you did a poor job expressing yourself in terms of the debate aspect of the show. In terms of she went, she used, from everything I saw, I watched 2 hours of the live stream. She used stock pro-black responses. Everybody's not an Umar or a Cornell West, but far as just your run-of-the-mill black person who's pro-black. Not even seen run-of-the-mill black person, just run-of-the-mill pro-black who take pictures in a kente cloth every now and then. Yeah, I think she gave a standard. I think she gave what I would consider a standard rebuttal. Damn, an antebellum apology. Cut it out, man. Cut it out. But no, yeah. I didn't think. I think she gave the standard answers. I don't think those answers are good. Now, I don't care for Nick Fuentes in the discussion. Put it like this: a discussion between somebody who's not white and politically, on the white supremacist side of things or spectrum of things, but you could take a black person like Thomas Sowell, who's just politically to the right, and put them against pro-black arguments and have a good discussion between two black men. That's more or less what I like to see. That's not the ideal discussion that I look for. Nick Fuentes, who kind of talks about this shit for a living with random Fresh and Fit chicks, but either way it go, again, you replace Umar Johnson, you're going to get, he's going to say a lot of the same things, just use a lot bigger words and more historical fun facts, and he's going to explain things in that way. But a lot of the things that a lot of the people that wear the label of pro-black, a lot of things they say about the black community is, in my opinion, not the things that would exactly help it. Oddly enough, I think the people that get called the coons, the Thomas Sowells of the world, even the Larry Elders of the world, even the Jason Whitlocks of the world, when they break down the things that they think black people need to do or things they see that are the problems that's plaguing black people, I think they get it more right than the people who are blaming the white man for everything, even stuff happened today, versus making excuses. I just wanted to lay out my position on just the overall tenor of the debate, where I don't think she got to apologize for that, because I think she did the best she could. But what she did was, in my opinion, run of the mill.
My mistake is not questioning it when not using my discernment. That was my mistake. My mistake was not asking questions and just not putting things together, because I was excited to be on the show, because I was mentally prepared to talk my shit, but not about politics. I'm not a politician. It's terms that y'all are using against me that I I don't even know. But I learned yesterday that YT equals Whyte. It's just
she ain't familiar with NiggaTube. She in her own little bubble of Instagram or whatever social media she used. But on NiggaTube, yeah. Yeah. I learned something new here. I see a new abbreviation every day.
Just things that it was my bad. I shouldn't even been there, but I was there. And because I'm not a person to run away from things, as y'all can see, because I pop back. But we gonna address that later. I just was like, I'ma see what I could do. I am from Germany. I'm a white guy, and please, if you do not indoctrinate, if you got indoctrinated by an option of a television show, these people that really deserve to be angry on, this is one that made a upcoming black girl into trouble. Okay, but why did you kiss him?
Hold on. I first off, I like what was just done right there. How somebody just said, yeah, blah 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 blah. Why did you kiss him? That's what you do when somebody is really giving a response, their reason or apology for something. They can try to throw out a lot of mumbo jumbo. I like how whoever that was just cut through the bullshit. Yeah, why you kiss him? That was, I see what he did there, and I dug that. And I said she don't know what a lot of the YouTube mumbo lingo and the whole lexicon on this whole on these black YouTube streets. But the Mac the Trucker says, I bet she know what Dusty means. Yeah, good one. Good one. You own to something right there. You own to something right there. Oh, and that was something I didn't consider either. That guy was from Germany. Now that's extra interesting. The guy who just asked her those questions is from Germany. So this isn't a black person saying, yeah, why you kiss this white supremacist. This is a white German reprimanding a black woman for what she did with her freedom in the United States. Because it's like he's on, if Nick Fuente supports the dude, the funny mustache dude, it's almost like he's, I don't want to know. I'm processing this one because it's almost like the German dude is virtue signaling. Like they go out their way, like they hate the stench of Hitler. There's no other way around it. I very briefly dated a chick that was from Germany. In the just like the JQ, the HQ came up. The Hitler question came up. The Hitler question came up, and it's like you could. It's like you could. It was like she was embarrassed. It was like they got their own version of white of German guilt over there when it comes to that. It's an interesting thing. I don't know if I ever do. No, I'm not going to do content on that. But it's an interesting concept that just started circulating around in my head when I just thought, wait, that guy's from Germany. That guy's from Germany. Great Britain says a Nazi grandson in Germany checking Keisha about her Hitler Owen. I didn't see it. That's what I'm getting at here. I'm glad you see. Like this was a new concept. It was all coming at me too fast. I couldn't process it quick enough. But yes. Yes, like that's what happened. That's what happened. Yeah, that's an interesting concept.
If you got indoctrinated, I'm a white guy, and please, if you, I'ma see what I could do. I am from Germany. I'm a white guy, and please, if you do not indoctrinate, if you got indoctrinated by an option of a television show, these people that really deserve to be angry on, this is one that made a upcoming black girl into trouble. Okay, but why did you kiss him? Honestly, because that was my mistake too. Because I wasn't thinking about if I post this, the backlash that I was gonna get. I had a conversation with my brother who definitely brought me down to size and made me understand that.
Wait. She said if I post this, Are y'all telling me she posted that picture? I'm thinking that was something that happened and somebody else took the picture and, maybe Fresh and Fit posted it. If she posted it, that's a whole nother ball of wax right there. If she did post it, I know she took it down, so there's no way to figure out if she posted it. Is that something? That's a if you know type of thing. So if you were actually one of the people who stalked her Instagram and saw it on there at one point, then you let me know. But that's a whole nother interesting thing.
I represent everybody because I represent all Black people because I'm a Black woman. I'm a Black woman, so I represent Black.
There's that run of the mill shit. When you're Black, you represent all that's Black. That's why we when we hear about a crime being committed on the 6 o'clock news, we like, ooh, please don't be Black. Please don't be Black. God damn it. It's like that mythical bar where we just keep getting set back. Damn it. He set us back 5 years with that one. All right. Something good happened. Okay. This person brought this person pushed us forward 7 years. Damn it. He just set us back 2 years. Okay, we up 1 year. Damn it, this person. Okay, that was kind of petty. He set us back about 30 minutes right there. It's like we keep playing those little games where it's like a constant pendulum shifting back and forth when somebody's setting us back over every little thing. We keep doing that shit. But that's what it's like when one Black person represents all Black people, because we have no individuality in that regard. We don't view things in terms of class. The rich Black person is still a nigga in a coupe. That's how Black culture thinks about it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Anything you do, you represent everybody. Ethnic reputation matters and it's a real thing, but the shit is on steroids with us. You need to, and her just a stream of consciousness is putting that out there, that I understand that I represent all Black people. She said that with the straightest of faces.
Everybody, because I represent all Black people, and that I represent everybody because I represent all Black people because I'm a Black woman. I'm a Black woman, so I represent Black people everywhere the fuck I go. Maybe he was just like, no, I represent Black people everywhere the fuck I go, and not understanding that I am the face. It doesn't matter if I want to be the face. I'm responsible. I have to be responsible, and in this moment, I wasn't responsible. I didn't think about responsibility. I didn't think about if this was going to have an effect or backlash on my community, how my community felt about it. None of that. Even being in it, it was just like being in a twilight zone. I wasn't even articulating the way that I normally would. Like, it was an ambush. It was to make us look stupid. It was to make us look bad. And I looked stupid. Like, and I don't like I don't like that. So the plot was to get us in this round table to make us all look stupid, because we had no idea what we were going to be talking about in the first place. Did any of us ask? No. Kissing him on the cheek was a mistake in itself, in the sense of, I literally sat at a table with a white boy who...
The only degree in which I think it was an ambush is that there was a portion of the conversation that can only be seen on Rumble. This was taken off, well, all of it's off of YouTube right now. But when they went to Rumble, like, it was a portion of it where he really went in and deep into some historical stuff about, the funny mustache man, that it's like having novice sit down and listen to that. It was like that part of it. It was just, kind of weird. It was some parts where he got deep into some history and some stuff that they knew nothing about. So it was almost like they could just sit there and just, and just listen or give an emotional reaction, but not having anything from a historical or literature standpoint to actually try to debunk or argue it. I mean, he said some stuff that, I learned some new shit. All right. So I mean, you could probably say it's kind of an ambush to hit somebody over the head with that and then be like, okay, now what's your response? What you got to say about that? And they didn't know. You could probably say that, but the overall gist of the show, most of the show, no, you can't really say that. And as far as her not articulating herself well, no, she made run of the mill standard arguments that we hear all the time. That's just what it is. It's almost like those arguments don't get challenged and when they get challenged, you sound silly. And we see that happen. It's a classic clip. It's a classic clip of Dave Rubin having a debate about discussion about systemic racism with Larry Elder. And this when David Rubin was like really heavy on the left. He had a discussion about systemic racism with Larry Elder, and Larry Elder just completely mopped the floor with him. You know, give me an example. Show me. You know, he basically did. He hit him with that. Give me one example. And then he tried, and he failed. Give me another one. He tried. He failed. It was so. The point that I'm making is that a lot of the points that are made are just not good points. They're just not good points. S says you think Bernard would hug Nick after, and I for damn sure wouldn't have hugged him. Not just on some you know, you're a white racist. No, but I just don't go around hugging men. So no. So no. But the way I am, typically when I talk to anybody, if me and somebody sit down and talk, no matter how much we agree, we can bare minimum do like a, you know, afterwards. That possibly could have happened. It more than likely would have happened. I ain't got, you know, I don't walk away from no debate with nobody with ideas with hard feelings because they said some shit I agree with. You know. Something interesting came up at the end of the show, and I'm going to, in a roundabout way, touch on that after I get through with this. Is how the idea, the notion that, you know, Nick Fuentes' views, you know, okay, there are some black people who talk as if we're going to get put back in chains, possibly. And Game Changer did make a good point. You know, a lot of y'all hated his take on it. You know, but one thing that I did pull from it is that the reason that it's not possible for black people to be put in a state of real oppression is because the vast majority of white people don't think like Nick Fuentes. Like, for example, they're like Jared Taylor, even though Jared Taylor, oh man, I listen to him and he's a savage, quick, witty debater. But when he is on record saying, and maybe the person who said who quoted this and clipped it, maybe they tweaked around with the context, but he says any ascension or development or, you know, not the word, not uprising, that's the wrong word, but any progress of any other group in this country is a threat to white people in this country. So there's the element of when you move that far over to the right, the white supremacist side of right. I'm not talking white supremacists as in black people think every white Republican is a white supremacist. I'm talking about the actual card carrying white supremacists. It's like those are the people that actually do want black progress to be halted. So there is a such thing as that. And if everybody had those views, even though I think the probability of that happening is minuscule, but if everybody had those views, how would that look? How would that manifest, you know, for black people? That's an interesting discussion. That's an interesting discussion that we're going to explore a little further when I open things up. We're going to explore that a little further when I open things up. You know, but let's get into it. I think I missed the main point I was trying to make here, but we're going to explore that a little further. It's going to be a discussion of black men being on the right, you know, which I think is a good place to be. How far to the right? How far right of the center is too far for black men? And that could be the wrong question, because it presupposes that the further right you go, the more races you get, but that's the perception. Even though I see Little Big Nate down there, I'm sure he would say the further left you go, the more races you get. That's certainly a perception that needs to be pushed more. the further left you go, the more racist you get. But so I guess I do want to have a discussion about where is that sweet spot for black men where, the ideal place, if we draw a line right in the center, far as to the right, how far to the right should black men be? If that's a properly worded question. If you got a better way to word it, I'd love to hear that. But that's what I want to explore. That's what I want to explore when I open it up. But let me get through the rest of the apology.
It's disgusting of my existence, and then I take a photo with him laughing and smiling and keep in. That was dumb. That was stupid. That was dumb as fuck. That was a dumb as fuck moment. The fact that I understand that you all feel like I don't deserve your grace, because I should have been smarter than that. Because I look smarter than that. And I was just being my gloating self. And like I said, I
didn't have no words. I just had to pause when she said I should have been smarter than that because and put her glasses on. I look smarter than that. I'm like, all right. You think you look smart, okay? Bless her heart. Bless her heart.
Because my pure existence make him uncomfortable. It was like, what you gonna do, bruh? Because you really not gonna do nothing. All this shit you popping, you ain't pop in the front of us. To me, because to me, he's now in realization, he's one of the white supremacists that it ain't up front and out with it. It's in.
Wait a minute.
Shit you popping. I wasn't because my pure existence make him uncomfortable. It was like, what you gonna do, bruh? Because you really not gonna do nothing. All this shit you popping, you ain't pop in the front of us. To me, because to me, he's now in realization, he's one of the white supremacists that it ain't up front and out with it. It's in intellect or whatever you want to. It's in his intellect.
Now, guys,
No, that was some nonsense because I think he was upfront and out with it. Like he was upfront and out with it to the point to where he was upfront and out with it to the point to where, I mean, look, when you go there with the race and IQ thing, then yeah, you are out of the closet, okay? You are no longer in the closet discreet with your racism. Or whatever you view or feel against black people, you're not hiding it when you jump out there with the IQ thing. All right, and he did that. So you can't say that he's one of the closeted racists. No, you can't say that. Now I'm pulling up right now. I haven't seen this, so this is new. Y'all about to watch this with me. Shout out to everybody supporting the stream. Great Britain, Sir Tice. I see Xander with a Z. Rev Arthur. No, that's Ray Arthur. I'm sorry. Ray Arthur. JC the Conqueror. Great Britain, Sir Tice. Appreciate all the appreciate everybody supporting the stream. All right. Here's the deal. We go into her page. I have not seen this. I haven't not seen it this. But we are together going to look at the comment section to see if black people was given grace, mercy, and forgiveness, for she has sinned. All right. The first comment: treason is treason, bitch. Okay, he didn't say bitch, but he said treason is treason. Apology accepted. This from a brother. This from a brother named Dark Jerome Powell. Says apology accepted. Now, can I take you out on a date, Queen? He said this was admirable to face the community. He says apology accepted. All right, this is another brother. Says everybody needs to live and let live. It was frustrating, it was painful, it was embarrassing, and it felt like betrayal initially. But once I removed my own emotions, it's easy to see you ladies got railroaded into this nonsense, and the ones who created the environment for this to happen was even through Myron's real name out there. It's out there, but I don't know people's real names. They go by a different name. But he says his real name, then he says the Arab and Walter Weeks. Walter Weeks, and his fresh name is out there more. Myron don't use his name, but Walter Weeks is out there. Walter Weeks, the barbarian, the onus rests on them. So, full pardon, absolved of all wrongdoing. Another brother right here. I don't wish no ill will, only peace and love. But in reality, I can't take you standing up for black people seriously. All right. Drawing a stand, fist in the air. He says, you don't think your ancestors been through a lot, but yet the same word that were said to our ancestors to degrade them, you and other black women praised him for saying it. When him and others, talking about the N-word, the same word that was said to our ancestors. You got to forgive. Sometimes people don't type stuff quite right. Okay, it's Bernard Mayweather. All right, I own it. When him and others used that word, I thought of Tamir Rice. Wow. He heard the N-word from Nick Fuentes. Says, when him and others use that word, I think of Tamir Rice, Emmett Till, MLK, Rosa Parks, Harriet Tubman, and other greats that died for us so we can live. It's your freedom to embrace white culture, but don't disrespect the freedom fighters that fought for your freedom. 100. All right. He hit her with that Jada Pinkett, when Snoop called Gail, what do you call her, a dog-faced bitch? He said, she was like, when you called Gail a bitch, you called me a bitch, you called my daughter a bitch, you called my grandmama a bitch, you called Rosa Parks a bitch, you called Harriet Tubman a bitch. It's like, that's what Jada Pinkett hit Snoop with. That's what he hit her. He hit her with that shit. The whole podcast segment was sad and highly embarrassing. I'm in shock. Another person says, I would recommend turning the comments off for the next few weeks. This will die down once the next viral story hits the airwaves. That's actually true. The internet got a short-term memory. Classic example of fake pro-black. So they ain't going. A lot of them ain't going. Zappa MD, as the brother says, okay, she apologized. I personally forgive her. Y'all don't need to send her death threats. That part is true. I can't believe people send her death threats. That's out of line. Her crime is forgivable. All right. There go another. Damn, only men responding, I guess, because I think it'd be like that on Instagram. Even regular chicks that got just 1,000 followers, it'd be 80% men. I think that's how it is. He says, why are you lying? You encouraged him to say the N-word. You knew who he was. If you're going to take accountability, at least tell the truth. Yeah, it's fair that she knew who he was. As far as that encouraging him to say the N-word, it's like you can't come down from that one once you take a pro-blackity black, we black y'all stance. It's hard to come down from that one. If you're somebody like me who's, more nonchalant about it, I don't encourage white people to say it. I don't be giving white people permission to say it around me, but I'm just, I ain't as triggered by it. I understand that it's a whole new thing and a whole new generation. My son got a lot of white friends, and they don't just like, in an argument, just be like, you fucking nigger. They don't do that to him, but just the use of the word, it gets used, the word gets used. They say it. That's just all to it. They say it. It's like there's a whole new generation of people who just don't got no qualms about that word. None. How are you going to be posting Juneteenth, but beyond those goofy fresh and fit? So, but beyond those goofy fresh and fit, so encouraging a highly racist white man to say the N-word. Y'all some clowns. John Coldchain says, at least you know why people thought it was dumb. Read a couple more here. He says, nope, you literally encouraged it. You do not get to go sleep with the enemy. Then when the heat gets turned on, try to sit here and BS your way through a video explaining why you are a coon. Nobody, you stay over. No, and says, nope, you stay over there on that plantation. We don't want you, nor do we need you. Your parents failed you. Damn. He hit her with a Chinese level of, you've brought shame upon our family. You've brought shame upon the family name. He hit her with a Chinese level, put yourself to the sword type of dishonor. Okay, he says, goes to show you that black women will sit with the devil's offsprings, sleep with them, and even disrespect their own race. All right. So I see about a 730 split on the scale of forgiveness. I see about a 70-30 split. You know, most people not going. Shout out to Sir Tice in the building, says her comments totally disprove what Umar said. In other words, she listened to the men in her family, not strangers, and did her about face. You know, you can give some credit to that. You give some credit to that. She did say her brother got her right. She went to the men in her family and they got her right. Yeah. And he got her right. She listened to him. That's what's up. I respect that. Great Britain in the bill. Well, I think it was probably more so the social media mob that made her change probably more. But either way it goes, if her brother, let's say her older brother, got her by the shoulders and let her know some shit, and then she had a change of heart because that ain't how we was raised. Those aren't our values. That's blah 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 blah. And yeah, okay, cool. But Great Britain in the building, $2 super chat. He says, I'm truly not surprised they doing anything for clout. Thank you for the super chat. Do appreciate that and appreciate you, Sir Tice. Do appreciate it. Xander with a D says she put her lips and booty on a known racist. Stop the cat. Okay, it's like some people don't exactly know the chronology or who did what, when, why, and where. She didn't put her ass on him, all right? That was a different chick. The chick who did that was actually a card-carrying stripper, okay? The stripper twerked on him. The pro-black gave him a kiss on the cheek. And you could argue that the stripper was a pro-black Republican female stripper. Yes. 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 She does. She did adhere to all those labels at one time. But no, it wasn't her that twerked on him. And if you were to view that, hey, if one did it, they all did it, then oh well, then okay. But it wasn't exactly. Yeah, okay. I think a lot of people are of the M. Perry view. If one of them twerked on him, they all had an orgy with him. I think that's what it is.
These last $2, I'm not gonna lose.
But shout out to you. Shout out to D-Rock Den, says, let it had have been brothers from the sphere who did this. Who what, twerked on him? You kissed him on the cheek? Yeah, the context would have been a whole hell of a lot different then. But appreciate you coming through on the super chat end. And so one thing I want to get into, and I'm about to put the link in the chat, and I do want some conversation and dialogue on this. This isn't exactly piggybacking on the conversation we had at the end of the last show. It's sort of piggybacking on that, but it's not piggybacking on that. It's going to a different area, over here we talk about, all kinds of shit. This is a black male space, but I guess my wing branch sector of it, I don't even want to say that. I know, okay, I dabble into the culture war. I'll say that. I dabble into the culture war, which is connected to politics. And I'm definitely right of center. All right. The question that I'm trying to ask, that I'm trying to get out, that I do want to tease out, is when it comes to black men on the right, where I think we can adequately say, even though some people would debate that it's nothing on the left for black men. Black men politically, socially, culturally, I think there is a question of you damn near have to decide either are you black or are you a man? and I think a lot of people in this space have, said, they're man first. They're man first, black second, because black, tends to be for a lot of things that don't necessarily serve black men unless you're a black man who have broken the law. So we run into that problem. So when it comes to going to the right, and me and Hood Conservative has talked about this a lot, where on one side you're leaning more right, which means you're leaning closer to the Tiki Torch posse. And the other side, you're leaning more left, which means you're leaning closer to all of the policies and everything that incentivize and subsidize the women who engage in all the behavior that we criticize in this space. So it turns into that question of, how could you be a self-respecting manospherian and leaning left? Okay, that's one question. That's one thing. How could you do that? So then if you lean to the right, well, how far are you supposed to lean to that right? Because I think it's true and I think it's accurate that, and this is one thing the Game Changer pointed out, that obviously Nick Fuentes' brand of rightness is far to the point to where if the majority of white people actually thought like him, that wouldn't necessarily be good for black people. But I do think there is a place on the right where black men comfortably ought to be, but how far over? I do want to tease that one out. The left is a no-go. The left is a no-go. And as black men, I think we are, politically a man without a country, politically. But I do want to tease it out exactly where should we be? How should we land? How should it manifest? How far over to the right is too far over to the right for us? Because it does seem to be, if you go far enough to the right, you are in a place where, this is some shit that's not going to be good for us. So that's what I do want to tease out. What in the total fuck? You broke the law, Bernard, the day you stole my heart. I don't, that name Sin. You saying that with that, the names that CYN is short for Cynthia. It then, it's just any no. If you got Sin in your name, nah. I see that Sin. I think of this. Hold on. Wait for it. Damn it, I know I didn't delete that. I know damn well I did not delete. Shit, I deleted the Cynthia G thing. Where the chick from I'm Gonna Get You Sucker snatched her wig off. Okay, no, here goes Cynthia G. You got to change that name. Just change that name. All right. We are joined by GC. Who started hold on, Darth Vader. Not that bang yang. That bang yang. All right. All right. So we are joined by GC, who did spark the controversy in the last show, where I'll set it up like this. Like, I thought you made sound points. You definitely made sound points. And even though, the question of the probability of all white people being, or 97%, I think the number I use, being converted to Nick Fuentes ideology, but in the event that that happened, in the event that somehow happened, then obviously that wouldn't be good or beneficial for black folks. All right, so I did concede that point, because that's a simple point to concede. To me that was a simple point to concede. So and so, moving forward from that conversation, that, we obviously see the left as a place where, and the link is in the chat, anybody can come up, the link is in the chat. We obviously see the left as a place that's very problematic. But if you Game Changer started this conversation, let's see, Freeze on Lou. We obviously see the left as a place that's problematic. So right of center is, I think, bare minimum, a respectable place for black men to land. But how far into that right can a black man go before, wait, now this is turning into potentially equally as much of a problem as leaning deep into that left? Do you understand my premise and questioning the premise of the question here?
Yeah, and we talked about this yesterday. So it's, to me, it's really not about magnitude. What happens is, with a lot of people, a lot of political people, especially the more zealot types, what happens is they get used to a certain type of attention. On the left, you see it, manifest itself with blue hair, pronouns, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. This is what they do to garner attention to, hey, look, I have this political view. It's way beyond voting. Yes, I am a, straight white man, but look at my hair. I wear a dress and I choose these pronouns for whatever reason. Like, this is things that the left does for attention.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what the right does for attention is they take it to, extraordinary extremes in order to gain, because let's face it, people don't really notice a black Republican by himself. They don't. Like, okay, you're a black man that vote Republican. Yeah, you get a little bit, it triggers some people a little bit because it's slightly against the grain. But once that initial dopamine hit that one gets from going against the grain wears off, it's like, like after a while, your friends and family just start saying, yeah, you're Republican. I get it. Then you just want more. So you start going deeper and deeper, and you start to become more egregious with every action. And then that is when you start behaving in a ridiculous manner and support of open white supremacists. So I think that you go not really more right. I don't know if there's like an extreme magnitude of rightness that just makes a person a white nationalist, but it does. It's really just an extreme addiction to the attention that you get for supporting some political views.
So you're saying you think it's attention?
Why do you think Kanye West wore a White Lives Matter shirt?
That's definitely
you think
for
it wasn't
attention.
For not attention?
No, that okay. The Kanye West aspect of it, that's definitely for attention. And I, I used to support and defend Kanye and all that he was doing when he was going through his stuff. He spoke out against the Jewish community or overlords or whoever. But but when he spoke out against that, I was in support of it. Then when he went, I jumped off the train. I jumped off the bandwagon when he went on Alex Jones, and he was just like, "I like Hitler." No, I really like Hitler.
Yeah.
It now the white supremacist in question, Nick Fuentes. I've actually heard him break down other stuff that, the funny mustache man did, and I was like, okay, I see. He's saying, I think Hitler was a great guy, just so then he can turn around and really break down some history and argue from the middle and say some agreeable things that's understandable about other stuff that he did that was, you know, good things for a leader to do. But the whole, I think he was a great guy. That part is just that part is just a troll. And Kanye West, I jumped off the board with him because he hit us with the troll and didn't offer anything after that part. He just did the troll, and that was it. And it was just a plea for attention. And I think everybody jumped off the board. It wasn't the carrot and the stick at the same time. It was just one of them, and I don't even know which one it was. But so it was. Go ahead.
So for a lot of Black men, it is a similar Kanye West plea for attention. When they take it to extremes that borders absurdity, and when it's obviously going against their best interests. I mean, okay, and then the argument was, you know, what's the probability that it goes against, that this could possibly affect us in a negative way? But the truth of the matter is, it doesn't affect you in a positive way. So the reason that you are promoting something that doesn't affect you in a positive way is for the attention. You're used to it for being an outlier of that type.
All right, and don't change your name. Just I was just playing with you. Don't change your name. All right, so the Black men. Oh shit! I see you down there, Christian. But all right, so Black men on the right. All right, where do you draw the line between this is just a solid, legitimate Black conservative who thought about it and, you know, intellectually came to the conclusion, dotted the I's, crossed the T's, and this is where he lands. Where do you draw the line between, no, this is just a legitimate Black conservative, and this is somebody who's just doing the YouTube algorithmic attention grab shit? Where's the line at?
When you aggressively support views that does not benefit you, and it's the same as on the far left. If you are a straight Black man, but you're on the left, and however you aggressively support, views and things like that doesn't necessarily benefit you, like feminism or LGBTQ objectives, then that is when you are doing it for attention. And believe it or not, on the left, a lot of people do that. A lot of people look at marches and rallies that are for BLM, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, as really just a social event. You know, if you look, and I remember doing this years ago, if you look on dating sites and they say under list of activities, they say activism, which is a very weird thing because, some people play tennis, some people ski, some people practice jujitsu or something like that. But you go and bitch at society. You look at this as an activity. You look at this as a way of life. You look at this as a social structure. At that point, then you are doing it for social reasons, not because you actually believe with the political ideology, or you believe the political ideology just for social status within that cohort.
All right.
Okay, yes. Somebody said feminism isn't a left thing. Yeah, no, I understand that, however, it is a higher concentration of feminists on the left than it is on the right. Yes, I mean, I do understand that there are outliers, but let's be real.
Yeah.
Yeah, so to me, the drawing of the line for me when you start talking about the Black Republican concept is when to complete disregard of history or of the environment or system that we live in acting like that, So, for instance, like we just recently had the affirmative action ruling with the U.S. Supreme Court. Mm-hmm. Okay, you cannot believe in affirmative action. That's cool. I don't agree with affirmative action. But if you cannot honestly talk about, okay, why are we attacking race-based emissions, but we're not talking about legacy, or we're not talking about legacy emission, or we're not talking about gender-based emission, or people with certain medical conditions. These are all things that are non-merit based. Why is only this one on the table? Then I start questioning your thought process, because it's like, if you're a merit-based society, why are you only caring about this one inflection point when there's a whole host of things? And so that's when I say things enter into disingenuous territory. Now, if you just never thought about them, that's a different thing. Now, but if you presented it and you're like, oh, nothing's wrong with legacy-based submission. So why? But if the issue is that you didn't earn it, why do you have a problem with they didn't earn it over here, but that it's okay they didn't earn it over there? And then
all right,
yeah.
Okay, I see. Okay, well, here's the deal. And one thing that got kind of lost in the shuffle of my show when I did a show on that very topic is that race-based admissions is, if that's off the table, which I could argue that it isn't, in a roundabout way, but if that's off the table, but gender isn't, I think that speaks more to a lot of what we've been saying in this space, why black men should realize that the left is not working in your interest, because basically black women are still on the table for affirmative action. But if race isn't, and obviously just being a man doesn't help you with affirmative action. So the only thing that helps or hurts us affirmative action wise is our race. So there, in a roundabout way, you could argue that, okay, they basically just said no black men. in a roundabout way, you could argue that. So again, so all roads lead back to, so I just saying all roads end up leading back to leaning to the left is not beneficial for black men. But I understand you set it up in a certain particular way, or line of logic, where there are people who are only looking at it in terms of race and not looking at it in terms of other things. And one thing that I had to do some research on as far as legacy, because I was saying, hey, if they're going to get rid of affirmative action based off race and get rid of the legacy people, I didn't realize just how much
it's bad.
Of Harvard's tuition, Harvard's gross GDP comes from legacy, and I had to do some research and find this out. The reason they're able to give all those scholarships and bring in a lot of black people who they got good grades, but they don't got the money. They don't got the money to get in there. They got the test score. They don't got the money to get in there. The reason they're able to get their stuff paid for is because of the legacy. So it's like it's a circular argument to where if you get rid of the legacy, you're getting rid of the cash cow that's paying for all the minorities to be able to afford to go to Harvard. So that's a tough one. Go ahead.
But the thing is, we want to live in a merit-based society, but we want to have all these carve out. I'm just saying, when you start talking about the Republican concept, if we want to live, the whole idea of what the Republican idea of for the last 120 years, 140 years was rule by law, meaning that we're all in the same boat, and the laws is applied equally across everybody. Not, oh yeah, we're going to give you this little carve out over here and this little carve out over there, because then that's how you create confusion, and that's how people have animosity. That it should be applied equally across the board. And if we know about something specifically, so like here's an example that like they knew about, right? And it was actually some Republican lawmakers in Florida, and because some Democrats brought it up. What happened was, when they were doing this, when they were allowing the application for doing marijuana licenses, I think down in Florida, what happened was one of the things they had to do was they had to be federally eligible for some sort of FDA grants since like 1980 or some number they came up with for whatever reason. And so what the point was, they didn't just want people just jumping into the marijuana business who were previously drug dealers. They wanted people who were legitimately in agricultural farming, that they wanted to give them first chance to get into that industry. Well, then someone said, well, actually black people were systematically shut out from this program. It was on the books, blah, 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 blah. And so what they did was they looked back to, there's like 50 black family farmers in Florida who need this exception, right? That's what people think of, there's a small exception, we need to address it, let's take care of it. Versus some of what we're talking about, where every single group has all these carve outs, or there's all these different instances, and it makes it, people start saying, well, why is this person getting this here? Why is this person getting this there? It makes people very frustrated.
Right. Damn it.
I don't know if that makes sense, what I was telling you about. But
no, I hear what you're saying, and to be perfectly honest, I was a little distracted too, but I got the gist of what you're getting at. You're just basically talking about situations and circumstances where things definitely lean more in favor of people that are not black, and that's what you cited an example of, as I understand it.
Yeah.
Okay. To the person who said I need to fix my internet, my Wi-Fi, you are right. I am going to call after this show because it's been freezing lately, so I got to get that taken care of. So I will be getting into that. So yeah, that is a problem. When I rewatch the show, I keep freezing. So yeah, so I will be correcting that going forward. So thank you for, not thank you, but just letting you know. But anyway, all right, GC, give me an example of somebody supporting something that goes completely against them. Other than the recent Nick Fuentes shit. But other than that, give me an example.
Well, once again, I would say that it's not necessarily for them, but in the sense that a male feminist, I guess, would be one example of that.
Oh no, I'm talking about on the right.
Oh, I don't know. I didn't really want to come up to make this political. I'm just saying that I've seen that psychological behavior recently more than I'd like to admit. However, let's see, on the right, somebody going against I guess a poor person who would be against, say, public education or, scholarships and things like that for poor people. So a poor Republican being against, things that are meant to level the playing field for poor people to give them opportunity at wealth.
Oh, well, we see that all the time. Like, I have rental properties in places that they're actively voting to close down their libraries, which I find hilarious. But in their areas that are not as affluent, and they say, why do we need the library? And they're voting to close it down, say in the name of saving money. I mean, I understand, what their logic is, but I find it hilarious.
Yeah, exactly. So that would be an example of something like that.
All right. Let's look at it like this, because that's one thing that I used to, when I was, definitely more on the left. I used to look at white Republicans that look like the guy in the video that look like Joe Dirt, and I'm like, what's he voting Republican for? I'm sure it's all kind of liberal shit that he benefit from. So I think a lot of them, they may not know why they're voting Republican, and maybe it's because maybe it's that Southern strategy still working. However, there is legitimate logical reasons in that you can get a non-white economist like Thomas Sowell to break down how less government spending and businesses having more flexibility allows them to create more and produce more in industry and ultimately hire more people, and that's going to stimulate the economy more than kind of handicapping the business owner, the big business owner or small business owner, and having having less jobs created, which means more poor is created. Now let's just give more to the poor, where on one hand they could have been potentially given more jobs, so there's legitimate. Hold on, wait, real quick. I'm just saying there's legitimate reasons why a poorer person who's thought about it can come to the conclusion that no, society functions better under more conservative leaning policies than liberal leaning policies.
Okay. The reason, because you asked for an example, and the reason why I gave that particular one is because I wasn't really talking about just giving them the money. I was talking about giving them the opportunity for generational wealth. That's why I said education, not just a direct handout. Yeah. But a poor white Republican, from what I noticed with them, and I don't really spend much time paying attention to their behaviors, but from what I noticed, the Joe Dirt looking type person, the mullet people, typically when you look at a political ideology, it's a collection of political views. some that you agree with, some that you don't, and you just weigh the importance of that agreement to determine if you are left or right. But what happens is, a lot of people, and we're talking about the right here, they go to the right because they agree with certain ones that do affect them in a positive way, such as, anti-immigration thing. If you are a poor working man, then immigration would be would
Mm-hmm.
be extraordinary competition to you. So, yeah, you want to build a wall. However, there are a number of views and political political leanings that's tied to the right. Now, it comes a point where you start to agree with those, even though that those in particular are not in your best interest, just to have that wall built. Then I would say that at that point, a person on the right is going against their own best interests. And once again, the same thing happens in the left.
Damn, I'm sorry. I just spaced out. What? How did that? How would that be a person on the right going against their own best interest?
Well, once again, it's a collection of interests. Some of those interests in the collection are to your favor, like anti-immigration. And if you're a white person, then absence of minority-based scholarships, anti-affirmative action. These are things that are in your best interest. However, in that same collection of interests, there are things that are not in the best interest of a poor white person. However, they follow that in order to stay within the right framework. So I think that is an example of how that works and how they get there, how they find themselves there.
I get completely what you're saying right now. For
Yeah, they're
example,
trying
a poor black person could be more leaning to the right when they see the liberals trying to grant amnesty for all illegal immigrants and have damn near open border anarchy and all of that going on. So yeah, I'm going to lean to the right now because that's going to create less jobs for people like me if all of these people are granted freedom. I mean, granted freedom. If all of these people are, are granted citizenship, not freedom. Well, saying tomato, tomato. But if all these people are granted citizenship, yeah, that's gonna hurt people like me. So I'm now leaning to the right. But now I'm voting with people that want to limit minority scholarships for also people like me. So yeah, so in that bag where there's one benefit, there's another benefit. And that, again, I think we all roads lead back to black people being black men being politically a man without a country. But go ahead, Sir Tice. I'm glad you came up on this topic.
Well, I don't have much time as usual. It's lunchtime. Man. No, I see the brother Chris up here. Salute to my fellow Detroiter.
When you coming out on the boat, that's the question. Next time you come.
By the way, everybody in the chat, this dude's flossing all on the book on the boat or whatever. I'm going to Vegas in 2 weeks for the Spence fight, and I'll probably come up there right afterwards. So
okay,
I'll definitely check you out. What up, GC?
Okay. My bad, I was muted. What's going on, bro?
Yeah, and Bernie. So real quick, I am not caping for the Republican Party here by any stretch. I'm not even a registered Republican or what have you, right? But I think it's funny. We can easily recognize the differences between the Democrats, but we don't see it in the Republicans. And what I mean by that is for example, there's a stark difference between AOC and Tulsi Gabbard when she was a Democrat, right? I mean, she's no longer a Democrat, and anybody see it and they clearly acknowledge it. There's a stark difference between Mitch McConnell, who I think is a piece of shit on the Republican side, and say Ron DeSantis, who I don't agree with everything on. Every Republican, people love to point to the Kentucky Republicans with no teeth and things like that. Their philosophies are going to be very different than, say, a Florida Republican. Lots of times people go into these parties not because they go into them not only because they may be single issue voters or single issue type of campaigners, i.e. they're more 2A than they are government spending, but it's also just a path for them to get money. In other words, that's just, it's easier for them. Okay, this district is a Democratic district. There's no way in hell I'm gonna be able to win as a Democrat or as a Republican in this district, even though I support mostly Republican policies. So I'm gonna run as a Democrat under these Republican guidelines, in a sense. Case in point, there's a woman yesterday, literally a Black woman. Her name is it's escaping me right now. She's in Georgia, and they calling her all kinds of coons right now because her name is Maisha something. I just had it up on my screen, but she's in Georgia. She's a House representative, and she switched over to the Republican Party because her district is saying they want school choice. And we know that the Democrats do not like school choice. And they don't like school choice, not because they want what's in the best interest of schools, or I'm sorry, for the children. It's because they don't want to lose that union vote. Okay, that is their main reason there, but people vote, especially Black people, Black people vote against their best interests all the damn time. Forget the guy. By the way, we still don't know whose cocaine it is yet or whatever. But forget that guy, right, in the White House or whatever, right? Forget him. We can point.
I think we knows who it is.
A certain son. Oh, he has 7 grandchildren. No. He directed and say he only has 6 grandchildren. For you political guys or whatever, you might know what's going on with that or whatever. Biden denying one of them bastard children of hunters right now, but no. Let's pick on our pet child city of Chicago, or we can pick on Mayor Adams in New York. Mayor Adams, he, found all this money for these immigrants. The Black people, New York is pretty much, and I see Hood just joined. He could speak on this much better since he's in New York. Black people love voting against their own interests. Look at what happened in Chicago. Got rid of Beetlejuice, got an even more progressive mayor that's going to give the illegal immigrants 11 million there now, that they just suddenly found for them. And people say, but Tice, Black people have been immigrants too. Miss me with that garbage or whatever. When people try to claim these stances, the bottom line is that these politicians know that many Black people are not into politics, and they can say whatever they want, which is why You Ain't Black works and people will still vote for him, even though none of his promises from canceling out student loan debt. No. I'll just cancel out 10,000. And 20,000 if you got a Pell Grant. That got struck down. They're still going to vote for him. So my campaign from here on to then is just calling dumbass niggas what the hell they are. And hopefully that'll resonate with them. I know that you want to turn this into a politics show, but I was just making the point about that we can easily recognize the extremes, and the Republican thing isn't just straight across the board, no different than the Democrats were. And can I speak on the Umar thing real quick? That I said in my super chat.
Umar.
I basically said, so Umar told you niggers.
What happened about Umar? Oh, yeah. Okay, you commented about Umar. Okay, Umar, go ahead.
Umar told, I'm being hyperbolic. Umar basically said, y'all need to get out here and tell these sisters are acting this way because of y'all. And what we in this space, even though this space, we're all a bunch of incels allegedly and all this other stuff and got no money and live in our mother's basements, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what we have said is that to take one of the fantastic things, if I don't know you, or I can't protect you, I don't know you.
If I don't know you, I don't owe you. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Okay. So this woman, you could give her the best arguments. You can give her the best arguments, the best forms of, nah, it's not good for you to be out at 9 o'clock. No, ma'am. You don't need to get a pork chop sandwich at 11 o'clock, ma'am. I'm sorry. You don't, you can wait or whatever, right? She ain't listening to your Black ass. Now, the only people she's going to listen to are those men around her. So what he's saying is stupid. And it's everything that I told you about him, Bernard, that dude is nothing but a social media commentator. I doubt he's even a real psychologist. And this is just what he does just to get clicks. I'll stop right there.
All right. Cool. Good stuff. All right. We are. Go ahead, Chris. Chris.
I think one thing that we also have to remember when we talk about the political divide is, and it's sometimes difficult, is I can see it in my area. I think there's a big divide in this country between people who live in metroplexes and people who live outside of metroplexes. So basically, I'm saying the top 30 metros in the United States, the culture, the demographic makeups, everything is completely different than when you get outside of those areas. And the politicians are very different. And what happens is a Republican running on in the northeast suburbs of Detroit is really not that much different than a Democrat running in the northeast suburbs of Detroit. Because the thing is, they still have the same issues. They still got to kiss the ring to the big three. They still got to do certain things with the unions. They still have to, do certain things with border patrol because we have a international border. They still have to, control, all the different trade coming in. Like, they're all working within the same framework. They all have kind of the same things. And that's why I think you see all this churn within the national system, is because what's happening is you have this concentration of economic activity and wealth in the metroplexes, and outside the metroplexes, it's a very different world. I'm not trying. Look where you're at, Bernard. Where you're at compared to when you get downstate and you have 5 million people running around. It's different. And I think, and the politicians reflect it. And I think people sometimes don't realize that about what those effects have in terms of what the politicians, what their interests are, how they're going to try to raise money, and things that they will try to do to differentiate themselves. But if you live in, if you're in New York, if you're in the tri-state area, whether you're Republican or Democrat, you're still dealing with the same issues, because you're still dealing with the same economic situations of your constituencies. The same jobs are available. You have the same environment in terms of the weather, in terms of geographics. Everything's the same.
Hey, Chris, real quick. It's sort of like you can relate with this being, I don't know if you're a hunter, but I know you definitely know hunters being in Michigan, right?
Yeah.
Okay. It's like, and I definitely know Hood probably can relate with this being in the city and then people going upstate. How certain laws are with guns. Well, New York's a bad example. My bad.
No. This is actually a great example. It's one thing having a gun and you're in a building with 10,000 people living in it. It's a whole different thing having a gun and you're the only person for 5 square miles. These are two totally different issues. And so how do you legislate that? No, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I was explaining to someone because I'm heavily into guns, right? And they were asking me, and these are men, why do you have the need for this kind of gun or whatever? And it's like, wait a minute. I used to have to travel across Florida at certain times, right? Across the state. And there's certain times I want more protection with me, even if it's an animal or a deer. I've unfortunately had a deer hit my car before, It's not a pretty sight, but a lot of people can't relate with these things. I'm using a very easy example, but you make a good point about how there's a lot of overlap in the city. But what I think that's happening in many urban cities, especially these cities with these Soros-ran prosecutors, is they're seeing, and Game Changer, I would love you. I know you're not a politics guy, and I know, you've already spoken, but I would love to get your take on this, because we hear what's happening in the Bay Area with a lot of the businesses in the downtown areas are closing because of the shoplifting and the lax laws there. All
right, before we swing at the Game Changer on that, like that we rabbit holing right now. But no, good. It was a good segue. It was a good segue, but I do want to focus it back. But before we focus it back and go to Hood Conservative, do got to give special acknowledgement to Machismo TV.
Welcome to Machismo TV, the ultimate destination for modern men seeking to upgrade their lifestyle. Subscribe to Machismo TV and Saul T-Balls. We stream daily from 12 midnight to 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, the best male-centric content. Highlight reels without reviewing or providing any editorial bias to the content. We have done so much, with so little for so long, we are now qualified to do anything with nothing.
All right, shout out to Machismo TV. We've done so much with so little for so long. We are now qualified to do anything with nothing. The best male-centric clips, show, and highlight reel show on the internet. Make sure you go. There it is right there. The link is in the chat room. Make sure you hit that link. Go subscribe. Go check them out. Go check them out. You more than likely will see a lot of your favorite content creators and a few you probably didn't know. Going to Hood Conservative on this one. Going to Hood Conservative on this one. I take it you were listening and you heard the initial premise of the question that I laid out. I think everybody on the panel can agree that there's a lot on the left that does not suit black men, and being right of center, being right of center is definitely ideal, but does it come a time when being over there on their right, there's a certain I don't know if it's accurate to say a certain farness of rightness that can happen before you working against your own interest, if that makes sense, if you follow the premise of the question. And where is that line, if there should be a line? Go ahead, you have the floor, you have the mic.
Okay, excuse me, my background is a little windy right now, but I don't know that we've even studied enough what is the black interest before you can accuse somebody of betraying the black interest. And that's kind of the only real issue I have with some of the thought that's been expressed today. If you become, let's say, if the point of you being a black Republican has gone too far, gets judged by you betrayed your group interest, then I have to individually go through point by point, what are these interests and why specifically does this individual thing benefit my group? And that's kind of the problem black people have had for a while now, where basically because of for the fear of racism, we get beaten back from the conversation. So I question what our interests really are. Before you even accuse somebody of betraying the black interest, you're going to have to spell it out for me. What exactly are those interests and why I should be interested? And so from that point, and then also, I don't know that every other group operates in the sense of we all have the same interest. Like, why should Obama have the same interest as Memphis Bleak?
Damn, Obama and Memphis Bleak.
They're in the same tax bracket. Well, they were at one point. Maybe not now.
Well, I mean, no, you make a good point that they, in a roundabout way, yeah, they are. I mean, they're both, I think, comfortably top 1%ers. I'll just say that, Well, Memphis Bleak, have you dropped anything in a while? Anyway, okay, well, let's not go down a rabbit hole. Let's not go down a rabbit hole. But I get the general point. So all right. So what is the interest of black people? And this is a Black Male channel in what is known as the Black Manosphere. So we do focus more on the interests of black men, because aligning ourselves to the race of blackness, that's obviously going to lean in a direction to where if you lean anywhere apart from that direction, you're a coon, you're anti-black, in your every other name and every other problem. So
here's a good example of this is a wedge issue, which we minimum wage. They make the argument minimum wage helps minorities, but then we also know with the minimum wage, it raises the floor for entry level employment, and the people most heavily affected by that are younger people, and because of where black people live, particularly in a lot of areas, it keeps them from being able to get that first job when they're 14, 15, 16, 18, 20 years old to get them on the economic ladder. So it's like, and so therefore it decreases their ability to garner skills, to accumulate money, to, for you to get that first job at Dairy Queen and save up $800. That way you can go enroll in HVAC school. That's how a lot of people get started. I had to save a couple bucks to go to HVAC school or truck driving school, because I had to save $500 to take my CDL test or whatever I had to do just to get on the path. But I just couldn't go to my uncle and say, hey, can I have $500? I had to work to go get the $500. So that first job at Dairy Queen or at the little corner store in my neighborhood was my first opportunity. And if minimum wage is too high, I don't get that opportunity because I'm effectively frozen out of the labor market. So that's like an example of that's like a wedge issue for black people, where which one is it? Do we want to raise the floor, where Black people can have access to higher wages, or do we want people to have access to opportunity to get on the economic scale so that way they can climb it at a later time?
Huh. I get what you're saying there, and I get the wedge issue aspect of it. To what Hood was getting at. I mean, I feel okay. Let me take it like this. I want to keep it more black male focused. What specifically? And you know, when we ask black men this, we come up with a lot of different things. Because even when me and you did the show where we went over Dr. Tia-San Johnson's I think now 16, I don't know if it's at 17. I think 16 point you know, political agenda for black men. There was a lot of things in there that we kind of, you know, raised an eyebrow to, that, you know, that was probably, you know, a little more socialistic for our taste, you know, but so there was some things in there we raised the eyebrow to. So I mean, I think you are putting it in a safe, in not a safe space, but in a fair space to say, what is it that black men actually want? And we run into problems with that because, truth be told, we don't all want the same thing. Just like the white male vote is divided between left and right, you know. So we will run into that problem of just trying to say, okay, what do black men want, as if we're just a monolith, you know, a collective. I mean, you know, so we do run into that problem. But so I guess what I'm trying to tease out here is, does that thing that we talk about a lot? I remember you said you did a stream where you explain this damn near a meme that you created, where on one hand it was fucking what's the white boy who shot the people? He shot other white people, but they made it about race.
One?
No, the damn. He
one?
had to.
Sorry, I didn't mean to say it like that.
You know who I'm talking about.
Nick Fuentes.
No, I don't know if it was that one. I don't know if he listens to Nick Fuentes.
Oh, he's one of the other ones. Okay, gotcha.
I don't know, but damn, what is that white boy thing? He was out there. It was some riots and some shit going on. He drove from a different city.
Oh, Kyle Rittenhouse.
Kyle Rittenhouse. There we go. Kyle Rittenhouse. I think you made some kind of meme. On one side it was Kyle Rittenhouse. On the other side, I don't know if it was a black woman taking a knee, and then you said something like, "Black men, we got our black men. You have a choice. Either you're standing over there, or you're standing with the, I don't know, the black woman in the BLM shirt, kneeling for the flag. Which one you doing?" Or something like that. And I understood where you was going with that, but I guess what I'm trying to get to is, there a place where going in that direction is too far, to the point of, okay, you are a man and you are black, and these people over there are anti-black, to the point to where it's like you're standing too far over to the right, to where it's not going to benefit you. It's working against you and people like you, even though I hate that term. People that look like me. I hate when people say that, but you get what I'm saying. Hood, are you there? Did you follow?
Yeah, I follow. Yesterday, I was listening to Obie Allen on We Need to Talk, and he was talking about this whole incident with the girls and Nick Fuentes. And he said a phrase that I think is important, especially in this conversation. He said, fresh and fit. They're black. You know, you can talk about their background or whatever. And Obie's, you know, he's not American necessarily either, so he wouldn't play that game. But he was like, look, you can talk about their background or whatever, but they're black. The thing is, they put their masculinity ahead of their blackness.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's kind of the thing for me. I don't judge issues by blackness per se. I'll judge it on maybe a more masculine ground, as this affects me as a man. I don't think how does this affect me as a black man. That doesn't seem to be the same. It doesn't give me the same useful outcomes when I think about things that way. So I'm uncomfortable with that entire framing of it. And then to really get to the heart of the question, I don't know where the line is, and I say that in all sincerity. This is a conversation that SKC and I have had. People on the left will accuse the right of going too far, but the simple fact is it's the left who's been continuously pushing the boundaries of what's acceptable. I don't know what too far on the right even looks like. What's too far on the right? Nick Fuentes is a virgin who wants to stay a virgin until he marries a virgin. Is that too far right? You see what I mean? Like you're telling me things are super far right when they're not necessarily the worst evil things.
Well, okay, let's put it like this. If we do know this, if left up to their druthers, for people like Mr. Fuentes, they would not want blacks or minorities to have access to property rights in this country. They won't say it out loud, but that's what they really.
Well, to add to what you're saying right there, Christian, Jared Taylor, and keep in mind, he could have been. I'll try to do some research and try to find it. Somebody could have been quoting him incorrectly or out of context, or maybe it was more to it. But they basically, got quoted him as saying, and maybe the evidence of it is shaky, but they quoted him saying that any progress of other groups is a threat to white people. So it does make it does reek of, okay, if that's what the far right is, we obviously don't want to be over there, but I'm obviously not going to be standing on the left side of things. I'm right of center, but there's a line somewhere where where you run into people that agree with that statement to the point to where it's like, and because once you accept that, there is a such thing as, hey, it's a jungle out there, and each group is fighting for their own piece of this pie, and we could pretend like we all friends and want to hold hands, but no, it's ruthless out here. We see that with the Hispanics and Latinos, how they don't buy into that liberal shit of black and brown people. You never hear them saying that. They say they worried about they people. It's white Democrats who put the black and brown people together, and then black people, we dumb enough to say, yeah, black and brown, yeah, but they don't say that, So I think every group is on some, ruthlessly worrying about their own group's benefit, other than I think the liberals who've been, inception or not inception, but the liberals who got all the white guilt that do actually view us as all the same, and they, a lot of them, some of them maybe for political power reasons, are supporting policies that'll make them a minority in the country, but they're good with that long as the Mexicans come over and vote for them because they granted them citizenship. Just like they said, we'll have them niggers voting for us for 100 years. We'll have them Mexicans voting for us for 100 years. They, so they probably got, political power reasons why they are, supporting policies that'll make white people a minority. But then there's enough true believers of white people who are true believers on the ground who do think it's all a good thing, who do got that white guilt, and they do want everything to merge and blend in together all as one. So there are those that do think that, but outside of that, I see this individual groups ruthlessly fighting for their own come up. It just that a lot of people have convinced white people not to fight, and I think that sort of goes back to I think that sort of goes back to Game Changer's point, is that Nick Fuentes, he's trying to teach white people to fight like every other group. And in the event that he succeeds at that, then it does turn into like an oh shit moment. so that's why
that's the other thing. That's the other thing. See, we're playing with fire now. You're going to create the white people you said you never wanted. because the more you back them into a corner, what else is there left to do but gang up and kill all the niggas who backed us into this corner?
I think you got a point there. I think black people with all their pro-blackity blackness are going to wake up. It's going to be a lot of what's your homeboy name? The cartoonist guy.
Stan Lee?
No,
It was Scott something.
Scott Adams was right.
Yeah.
Scott Adams was right.
Yeah.
Listen, black people can talk about getting away from white people all they want, but if white people want to get away from black people, somehow they're wrong and they're bad people for it. It's a weird game to play and it can't last forever.
Well, the point that I'm making is that a lot of white people are convinced into not embracing their white identity. I do think all the other people who are overly embracing their identity and accusing white people of being evil are going to make white people embrace their identity. And then that, again, it's like we got there in two different ways, but it sort of leans back to Game Changer's point that them truly embracing their identity in the same way that black people do is going to be bad for black people. It's almost like a sleeping giant getting woke up, and they start acting like, if they truly started acting like the way that pro-blacks accuse them of acting, then we run into a real problem. You see what I'm saying?
Well, look, everybody else gets to love their own people. Everybody else gets to have their racial gang. Everybody else gets to be Ungawa my power. Wait, listen, sooner or later, there will be no other solution but to be a white racist because there's no safe place to be. Look at what's going on with Anna Kasparian. Have you been following this Young Turks thing? Anna Kasparian, is the more to the right she gets, the hotter she gets too. It's crazy. But she's coming out going to war with the left.
Time out. Anna Kasparian is leaning to the right.
Yeah, kind of. She's at odds.
She's not openly leaning. Yeah, she's not waving the flag of Dixie. But yeah, she's not buying all the. You guys are just attacking white women for no reason. Like she's come flat out and made pointed out incidents where this is getting weird. And the reason I point to her as sort of a symbol, once you lose white women, this whole thing falls apart.
All right, hold on real quick. Let me get to the super chats real quick. Appreciate everybody who's supporting the stream. Of Air and C in the building says, I highly doubt Jared Taylor said that. It don't sound like something he would say because he's normally very careful about what he says.
No, okay. So can I respond to the super chat? So
all right, well let me read it for the person who dropped some coins on it. It says highly doubt Jared Taylor said that, Cap, and y'all are exaggerating about Fuentes. Only a rare few of extreme right wingers want blacks disadvantaged. So
there's this concept. There's this legal concept called originalism. There's a concept within the legal community called originalism, and it's where they truly believe that the first 10 amendments in the original Constitution, that's it, and all these other precedents and all the other things we've done is a deviation. And so under that framework, blacks do not have property rights. And I'm just not talking about land. That means that if somebody like the government or another person was just like, hey, Bernard, I see you got $30,000 in your bank account. That's mine now. You can't stop me. You can't sue. If I just say I want it and I'm going to take it from you because you do not have standing in this society to have legal protection. And
you talk about if the government says that to me,
or if another person who was deemed to have legal standing in the society said they wanted something of yours.
Why would somebody have legal standing in a society and they're not part of the government?
No, because of when we originally started this country, black did not.
No. Hold on, wait. No. I get that part of it. What I'm asking is because it sounds like you're saying there's a such thing as a white civilian saying, "Yeah, Bernard, I want your shit, and you got to run it. I'm white and you're not. Run it." That's what it's.
Before we had equal protection in this country, that's how if someone wanted your stuff, they could take it.
Are you saying that somebody can do that now?
No, they cannot.
Okay.
They cannot.
Okay.
But there's a concept. There's a concept under originalism in the legal community that the first 10 amendments in the original Constitution is the framework of which we should operate. And that's something that's what some of these people who are in Mr. Fuente's ilk, they believe in that ideology. And that's where, I'm not saying it's going to get there tomorrow. I'm saying that would be the slow walk of, hey, if we deem you do not have legal standing, that means that I can take whatever I want and you cannot sue. You have no legal protection, blah, 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 blah. I can take your property. I can take your wages. I can take whatever I want, and you have no recourse.
All right. Twan B in the building says, if Jews are against racism, then why did they fund the Confederacy? Hashtag Judah Benjamin. I don't know what you're talking about there. I think Hood Conservative know what you're talking about there, but we're not going down that rabbit hole. Fortunately, unfortunately, and fortunately, we're not going down that rabbit hole about.
You see how it always pops up?
Yeah, I know. I mean, it pops up a lot. It pops up a lot. And we're not going there. But we joined by Tony Golden. Go ahead. You have the floor. You have the mic. What's your thoughts on this, particularly the question that I put on the table, assuming you've been listening long enough to catch it? Go ahead. You got it.
Yeah, I was listening long enough to catch it, and I think it's a very interesting question. Like you said, black men politically are kind of homeless. They don't really have a land. You can, if you wanted to say that, but I definitely think, just thinking about your question, how far right is too right for a black guy, a black man, and I think when you get to the Richard Spencer types or the alleged Jared Taylor types, where they mention white people being overrun and maybe be leaning towards or trying to stop the cultural and societal ascension of black people, I think that would be too far right. But I think there's just really a sliver of the right, and you have to go so far, in my opinion, to even really reach there. And a big chunk of being right to center is really not too problematic or problematic at all for the black man. I can't think of any policy that I've heard just in general that would cause many issues for black men that are on the right. But I do think that's an interesting question.
Can I ask you a question about something you just said? When you say the cultural ascension or ascendancy of black people, I want you to talk more about that. What does that mean? Because that's one of those phrases that I was talking about where it sounds like something, but I'm not sure what that something is.
For instance, in my opinion, the black community really isn't. So if you compare the black community to like other communities, Hispanics, Asians, whites, we're really on the totem pole economically. There's no cohesiveness in the black community. I think there was cohesiveness and there was structure, so on and so forth. We could be performing and prosperous similarly to other races. So that would be the ascension, is us getting our shit together, having our own communities, owning our own shit, and getting together politically for the united cause for black people. You there, Hood?
Hood Conservative, are you there? Mic check. I don't know if you asked him a question.
Yeah, no, yeah. You answered the question. I wasn't like trying to have a back and forth about it. I just wanted to hear what the answer to the question, well, your answer to the question was, because like I said, in these political conversations, it's very easy, especially in black circles, to get caught up in the slogan of a thing and not the actual meaning of a thing. And so I was just curious if you actually had a further explanation for what you said.
Yeah, definitely. I'm not one of the. My thing is with the pro-black stance on a lot of issues, as it was discussed on the other podcast that Bernard had. A lot of their talking points is bullshit. It's not really based in what I think is reality. It's a bunch of narrative and victimization. You're not going to get nowhere with that. That's my big thing with the whole pro-black talking point. So when I said the ascension of black people, it was rooted in something really concrete.
Okay, LB Crypto is asking the question: did she say sorry yet? Yes, she gave a emotional, heartfelt apology, and a good percentage of black men.
That's not LB Crypto.
I didn't. Hold on.
That's LaShawn Jefferson.
I'm so sorry.
Oh yeah, I
do
his
that.
nickname or something. Yeah.
I do that a lot. If just I glanced at it and I thought I saw LB Crypto. I think I got a similar looking avatar. But thank you, LaShawn Jefferson. Yeah, she did say sorry. Okay. Oh shit. Sorry, I got a yawn and a sneeze coming at the same time, but don't either one of them want to come. So I apologize for what just happened there. All right. All right. True Hype.
What's good? What's good, man?
What's going on? Welcome to the show. What's your thoughts on the question that's on the table? How far to the right is too far to the right for a black man to comfortably be and still make sense?
I'm kind of with Hood. You know what I'm saying on this line. I don't know what that looks like, and the people that normally frame the whole conversation and the whole thing anyway are people on the left. You know what I'm saying? And they tend to get more and more extreme every year, and they're the ones framing the damn conversation. You know, excuse the language, but that's a problem. And like they cannot be the ones in control of the conversation or whatever, or in control of the language.
Yeah, real quick. That what you just said right there is a big part of what I try to do with some of these conversations. I do want to frame it for us, not just me, but just I guess the collective of our thoughts, putting our heads together to try to frame, these ideas through the lens of black men who are, thinking for themselves and not just following the status quo that they roll out there. Because even though some people pretend like it's not the case, black people have more of a collective hive mind than any other group of people. But I'm 100% with you on the people who normally frame it. They normally frame it in a certain way. So and when we start talking about blackness and maleness and masculinity, it's like, it's almost like we can't even have that conversation without somebody already yielding yielding to what's already out there, or thinking that we have to, follow their tea leaves or their outlines or their manuscripts over there. I'm like, it's almost like a new manuscript is being created, so to speak. And I don't think we got it all worked out and figured out. So that's where a lot of the questions come from. But go ahead.
Yeah. And a lot of the time too, man, you're having conversations like most of the conversations that happen on your channel are really logical, and I appreciate that. But whenever you're having a conversation with some people, whatever, it's fanciful. It's like a fairy tale or a caricature. And that, you know what I'm saying? Like, they don't have any tangible definitions. Like, we have a hard time, like, even agreeing for a baseline before you can even move forward to, like, other higher things to, like, actually get into a discussion. And then a lot of times it goes to ad hom, like, real quick. It's kind of crazy when it's really said and done. And the fact that a lot of people don't know the history, the left and right dynamic was just like the way when they sat over here versus over there. And then that's how we frame everything now, to left and right, meaning everything. I mean, even like shows, it's because the left has injected politics into everything. There is no escape from politics. None. There's no refuge.
Yeah.
So, speaking of escape from politics, are we actually going to talk about the apology?
Yes and no. I mean, I talked about the apology. I did want to throw this question. I did want to have this conversation. So it was sort of like a 2-in-1 show, where the main topic that I did want to have a panel discussion with.
Where's the two? We've been talking about politics since I got here.
I know because that's the thing I said I was opening it up about.
All right.
I wanted this conversation. I did want this conversation, but I think we had it. Okay, so if you got something about the apology, you can speak on that.
All right, thank you. So, yeah, I do believe that in a very real way, and this is something that I noticed in the quote unquote B1 community, that what they're doing with the guys is they are creating a surplus of like Boyce Watkins type guys that will be there for them later in life. That's what really the whole chest beating, B1 chest pounding thing is. But in actuality, they don't really believe that tripe. They just want to create the illusion of loyalty to keep guys in the, I don't know, wait list, dance card, whatever you want to call it. But they are keeping them in reserve for an indefinite amount of time. So once again, they can Boyce Watkins them in the 50s. Now let's just, and I don't know when the kiss occurred, right? But let's just go and say, it occurred in the beginning. And she didn't know who this guy was. He was just a white guy. And she decided to play along. Like, okay, I am going to play this particular role as a person that is, let's say, quote unquote, friendly with everybody, which is generally what this new generation is, which is perfectly fine to be that way. But what she's doing she's doing it under the guise of, she does that during the day, but then, when she goes to her events, it's like, oh no, I'm pro blackity black, blackity black. It's like, okay, so why don't you get with one of the other pro blacks? Oh yeah, well, I'm just weighing my options, but yeah, I'll talk to you when I'm 40. That way of thinking is prevalent in the pro black communities. And also, I want to point out that in pro-black communities, there are several interracial relationships. It's really not enforced. All you got to do is wear the kente cloth. So it's a very, very, very flawed way of thinking.
It's shamed amongst the men, though. It tends to be more shame amongst the pro-black community.
Well, you know what I found is that it's shame upon the Sidney Poitier type men. Like you could be a kente cloth wearing, guy if you are with a white chick who is also a kente cloth wearing white chick. But just say that you are a black business. Say you're a guy like Christian, and Christian walks in with his white queen. Now he don't wear a kente cloth or anything like that.
Oh, wait a second. My wife is not white.
I'm giving a hypothetical.
No, but
I know that your wife is Asian. However, I wanted to give us hypothetical where it's more egregious to them.
A lot of people consider my situation more egregious anyway.
Huh?
Keep going.
You consider your Asian wife more egregious than white? You mean with a white woman?
Okay, well,
yeah,
whatever will piss them off, right?
Yeah.
It really pisses them off more that he meets a certain let's just call it demeanor, or behavior or whatever. Your persona is the best word for it. They're really more against his persona being with that particular woman, not the fact that he's a black man with that woman. Really, I mean, the whole pro-black thing is really just a matter of cultural persona. And that's why she dressed the way she dressed. And she even commented on the way I look smart. Everything is about image and persona with them.
Yeah, it's all fake. It's not real. The whole B1 black pro-black shit. That's why when they debate other people, it's taken apart very easily. It's nothing really substantial.
Exactly. So that's a good point. And that's why, things kind of played out the way it did. And, it was kind of how I predicted that it was. It would, because remember, I didn't see that. I didn't see it when I was on your show yesterday. And the other thing is, I was saying I had a theory about Fresh and Fit's intent on bringing them on that way. And I was right on that. She didn't know. She did use the word ambushed. So everything I said about what they were attempting to do, to humiliate them and, indirectly humiliate the race, because for whatever reason, individual black people represents the race. That was his intention. And then he topped it off with putting on a clown mask and acting a buffoon. So yeah, now they were who I thought that they were. So I'm glad that was come to that conclusion.
the women, I like. I'm not going to shoot them that kind of bail about ambushing, because like you are coming on the show and you do not have to shake your booty for the white supremacists, and you don't have to kiss them at the front or the beginning, and it makes you look even weirder if it happens on the beginning side.
No, please don't get confused. I'm not absolving them from any of their behavior. I'm
just saying that I wouldn't use the word ambush.
They behaved as wrong. Twerking on the white supremacists wrong. No, I understand that part. What I'm saying is I'm not absolving them for their behavior. I'm just condemning Fresh and Fit for theirs.
They're absolutely like they have no shame in the game or whatever, and they've said a lot of egregious stuff. And as a matter of fact, they almost got ran off the platform going too hard at the black woman. So they really had to slack off on the the frontward vitriol, if you will.
What do you mean they almost got ran off the platform? You talking about before when they got a strike or something?
Well, it was like between like the Fresh and Fit where the clips came out. We talking about we don't do no night riding and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like apparently like a bunch of people complained to YouTube, and Mama Susan don't like when men act crazy, because they'll play the woman card first.
Mm-hmm.
Just like in the conversation where Hood was saying, like he looks at the man card before he looks at the as a black man, because it's honestly like, what benefits you more? What do you use first? And more than likely, like the man thing is what you would use before the black man thing, because like ain't nobody coming to save me. I already know that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No. Yeah. Yeah. I get what you're saying. I don't know if they've dialed anything back. And I don't think they're going to dial something back. I think the most you ever see them do is they take some stuff to Rumble. And when they went to Rumble that night, they had, I think that was yesterday or day before yesterday. I can't even remember exactly when. I think it was Tuesday night. Yeah, it was Tuesday night. They hit 100K on Rumble when they started. They start off on YouTube. They took it to Rumble. They had Nick Fuentes and Destiny debating the JQ, that's the Jewish question, and all of that, and that got up to 100,000 views. So they got Rumble as their safe haven. I don't know if they make as much money on Rumble, but they definitely got Rumble as their safe haven, to where that's where they hide their stuff. But Myron be clowning on a lot of shit, and so that's been their game from the start. They play close to the edge of what YouTube is going to be okay with, and they try to win that way. You saying it was a good debate? I listened to some of it, and it was just, I was listening to it without watching it, and their voices sound exactly alike. Like Nick Fuentes and Destiny, their voices sound so much alike. It was hard to listen to without seeing it, because it's like, who's saying what? It was a good debate, but it was just too all over the place. I heard Destiny was doing too many weird debate tactics, and it was I don't know. It was a good. It was good, but it was good.
I want to say one thing about that whole episode. Let me say this about that little debate about the JQ. I think it's weird how all the people that they don't like, we're also supposed to not like as black people. And then we have to attack those people on their behalf, apparently. That just always keeps coming up. Everybody who they don't like somehow makes it on the list of racist people that black people shouldn't like either. And I think we have to be careful about that kind of thing.
Hey, kind of along the similar vein with that. It's like, just because somebody tells you something, you know what I'm saying? Like, I would at least kind of explore it a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Not saying that it ain't true, but like not to just lock and stock. Because everybody can't be Tiny Mustache Man. Because if everybody's Tiny Mustache Man, then nobody's Tiny Mustache Man. You know what I'm saying? And that's a common tactic that I hear so much. That, back in the day was the alt-right. Then it had to move to something else. And people used to be scared of that. And it turns into the boy that cried wolf. And that's not a good thing either.
All right. SKC, you're saying what if Fresh and Fit are simply doing whatever to win? You said that in the chat room on a few other things that were said. I noticed you said something about somebody doing whatever to win. It sounds like that's a callback to something. Like, what is that? What are you calling that back to? Like, what point are you making about doing whatever to win? Did somebody previously say that, and then you're responding?
Yeah, I think
he did a show.
I think
He did a show yesterday.
So,
SKC did a show yesterday.
His show was a response to Game Changer. Game Changer is trying to talk. So I mean, I think Game Changer can better explain what's going on.
Yeah. So I did a show, and I might have mentioned something like that yesterday, or maybe he mentioned it on his show yesterday. Nevertheless, I mean, and they're well within their rights to do whatever they can do to win. However, now I understand that their definition of victory is something different than what was previously presented. You see, before I assumed that their definition of victory was to show the faults in the modern women and their way of thinking. That's what they appear to have been about. Now their definition of winning seems to be to just garner money and attention by any means necessary. So now that they have that definition of victory, I can no longer support their objective. They stated a different objective.
I think there's something else going on. It's not so much that. It's yesterday when we were having this little disagreement, and I listened to your follow-up. It wasn't yesterday, but when I listened to your follow-up yesterday, GC, I kind of came to a conclusion about what was going on between us on the panel. Everything you were stating was coming from the position of white supremacy being 1,000% real. It's a threat and it must be addressed. So from your perspective, you're sort of in a conflict that must be won, while we were having a conversation to win. And that was a radically different position. So you're saying that you're coming from a conflict point. That's why it's okay to say, don't let him talk. Don't let any of those people talk, because we're in conflict, and letting them talk is helping them win the conflict. But I'm like, well, we're trying to have a debate. So how do we debate if we don't let them talk? And that's, I think, really where the disagreement is.
So, to the girl and the other girl, the one that was a stripper and that was twerking on them. See, the B1 woman actually thinks a lot more like the stripper. It's called code switching. Now, when we think of code switching, we think of it as it applies to, a black woman code switching to a white person, or a black man code switching to, a more tolerable, whiter version of themselves to appeal to the white power structure. But really, code switching is something that a lot of black women do in all circumstances in order to get the greatest benefit from that circumstance that they possibly can. And as the brother pointed out, that it's wronger when black men do it. Absolutely, because they're the ones that get called Uncle Tom, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There isn't an Uncle Tom equivalent for black women. They can code switch all they want to, and get all of the benefits of as many different cultures as they can, and nobody will condemn them. Nobody will call them an Uncle Tom or anything like that. And which puts black women at an economic advantage that they weaponize against black men. So
black women will. There's no Uncle Tom equivalent, but remember the pick me.
Maybe it's
and all the shaming.
No, pick me is something different. Pick me is a pejorative that they use for women that actually value men.
No, but it's a shaming tactic to get them to do what they want them to do. It's still like a manipulation tactic.
Okay, you know what I'm saying? Put it like this: they're not held accountable for being called white or functioning in white society effectively. Black women are never shamed for that. They do have pejoratives for women who actually treat their men well, which really says something about their intentions. But Bernard brought up something interesting when he showed the list of comments, and it was only black men that were attacking her. It was all black men. Where were the black women saying that she is the equivalent to a race traitor? Because we know that black men are called all the time race traitors. I mean, Michael B. Jordan was in Italy kissing an Italian woman, and he's a race traitor. You see how that works? They don't, and that's because that's the general norm. You code switch to get as much as possible from the other group of people, and it's okay for the women to do that. But Black men, we can't even get a blowjob from another group of people without being condemned. Shout out to Christian Hutcherson. You know, we cannot. No, I'm just saying that because you're in an interracial relationship. That's all. I'm joking, really, but
it's like catching strays. I'm catching strays. I'm doing anyway.
That's not a stray. It's not a stray to say a man that's
more
in
like
an interracial
a pat on the
relationship.
back.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's why I said shout out. But no, nonetheless, that double standard exists, and the lack of reaction from Black women, you know, really highlights that. Basically the thinking is, and Sinji actually said this, is that it's okay, and actually Six the Goddess said it too, that it's that you know a Black woman getting with white men is okay simply because you know that's resource gained. However, Black men getting with white women, that's resources given. So that this really highlights that scenario, especially the lack of Black female reaction to it. The whole pro-Black thing is something that Black women is selling to Black men in order to turn them into Dr. Boyce Watkins.
How much of this pro-Blackness is actually been directly beneficial to Black men? This is why I have such an issue even joining these causes, because it's like you realize these girls are just sending you up. They're winding you up to fight the guys they're going to be sleeping with after the fight. It's a weird game to play. I don't know why we should be playing this game. Let them do what they want to do. Be happy. Bye.
Hey, you know what I'd equate some of this stuff to? Like the Boyce Watkins position, like specifically, to the equivalent to the male feminist that calls himself the male feminist and does all this stuff to get with the woman. That's what I equate it to. It's that kind of weird peacocking, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, because what you're doing is you're pretending to share their views in order to, you know, get what you want from them.
Yeah.
However, and this is interesting about the pro-Blacks and the Black women in particular, is that their views aren't their views. You know, they're code switching. That is one of the many switches that they have. They have a collection of personalities that they play, you know, at any point that they feel it is advantageous. Now, the Kente Cloth girl, she played her role, and then her world collide. You know, her worlds collided. You know, it's kind of like you work at the strip club on Saturday and then you go to church on Sunday, but then the pastor comes to the strip club and you're like, oh shit, you know, that's worlds colliding. So the pro-Black people who looked at her as a pro-Black entity, seen her other side, they seen the switched code and they didn't like it. And, you know, she claimed to have gotten death threats and things like that as a result of it. And now what she's doing is she's like, oh, no, I'm still pro-Black. I just made a mistake, you know? So now it's a code switch back again.
Yeah, so that you're kind of highlighting how phony the whole thing really is, though. Think about this. So you're a diehard pro-Black, you're for your people, you hate what the white man has done to your people, and it doesn't even matter if you were unprepared, as if you were walking into like a heavy debate. Like, that's such a weird thing. Like, you were walking into a podcast with bots. Like, you don't need preparation just because a white guy shows up. But now that you actually find yourself in the room with a white guy who, in your mind, he is embodying all the things about whiteness that you hate, and you can't even muster up an attitude, you can't even roll your neck at the motherfucker, you can't snap your fingers, none of that stuff. And I'm supposed to believe that this pro-Blackness is some kind of like it's a worthy cause. No, this is a sweatshirt that you put on when you want to be recognized for some shit. That's all it really is. It's a logo. It's a slogan. It really means nothing. Because when you got the moment to at least be angry with a white man, you didn't even do that. Like, this is one white man you could arguably play the angry racism game with. He totally is allowing you, like, he's letting you see him as that guy. And given the moment, not only did you not do it, all of you girls was basically looking like y'all was trying to go. Y'all all was ready to go. And you know how many memes there are about a white man dropping the N-bomb and Black girls being like, ooh, yes, massa. And y'all bring the memes to life. I mean, this is kind of one of the things when I was talking about it, like, you know, pro-Blackness has taken a lot of L's lately, and it's got nothing to do with so-called coons or Black conservatives.
Yeah, those memes are
All
actually
right,
made
hold on, wait.
because
I
you
want
can.
to go ahead and deal with this. This is SKC. I think he's talking directly to Game Changer, putting it in an indirect way. But anyway, well, okay, I think this is directed towards Game Changer. He says, "I don't get why people, and by people put Game Changer in parentheses. I don't get why Game Changer, who doesn't care about principles, or who sees principles, values, morals, ethics as a weakness, hate what Fresh and Fit or the chick did. They acted to win by any means." Game Changer, your response?
My response is the same as the previous one. It just didn't catch with SKC, and that is that their definition of victory has now come into question and is now come into light. So now with their renewed definition of victory, I have a renewed definition of them, or I have a new renewed perspective of them, rather. Said it before, but here we are.
I don't know why anybody had a personally like a higher regard for these dudes. You know, honestly, like outside of production and like the show and some of the topics like kind of coming along or whatever, it's basically like Jerry Springer. It's a reality TV show. It's a reality TV show
Well,
on
hold on,
YouTube.
wait. Everything you named is reasons why people hold them in high regard. You said the production, the quality of the show. What else did you say? The topics of the show. I mean, they run a nice, successful show that's very entertaining, and listen, through the midst of all that entertainment, a lot of necessary things are said that I do think some men need to hear. Rather we take the whole ball of wax, even the stuff they do on the show during the day where they're talking about money and finances and all kind of stuff like that, and also the calling out of the whole thought process, pathology, and the modern woman feminist bullshit that they try to inception men with, debunking that shit night in and night out. That is a beneficial thing, and they do it in the most highest quality, entertaining way possible. That's why they held in high regard. Now, are they at a personal level? Are they some pieces of shit? Possibly. Yeah, I'm not into going at somebody. I don't like your moral character. I don't get too deep into that. But no, they've earned the right to be for some spec to be put on their name for what they've created and what they do night in and night out. So I think that's fair.
I was speaking more toward the moralistic thing because I've seen a lot of personal attacks on these guys, and I'm like, I separate that because most stuff that's on the internet is going to be entertainment anyway for the most part. You know what I'm saying? Unless I actually like know somebody enough to be able to make a moralistic judgment, I'm not going to.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think nobody is saying that they're Saint Fresh and Fit or like putting them at the Martin Luther King level and status and all that. I don't think nobody's doing that, but I think people give them the accurate amount of praise for the thing that they legitimately earned it for. I think that is fair. I do like Game before I get to the super chat. I do like the point that that Game Changer made as far as there are certain people, depending on how somebody defines victory. Yes, do whatever you're supposed to do to win. But if a win for me is the overall net worth of black men to go down, or if a win for me is to convince black men to simp for black women, I'll just say that if that's a win for me, then clearly Game Changer is not going to support my pursuit of victory regardless of the tactics that I use. But if the win for me is for let's just say black men's net worth to go up and to not simp and overvalue women and put more value in themselves and the best outcomes for them, then clearly, if that's my end goal, then Game Changer will support me in accomplishing that goal by any means necessary. So the by any means necessary thing applies pending what is one's goal. so I think that is a valuable point and way to look at things. LED International says Hood Conservative is correct about the fake Black Power movement. Stop fighting for black women and find a new Stargate with another culture of women. I think everybody agrees that there's a fakeness to the Black Power movement, especially if it's, you know, centrally geared around doing for black women, especially at the expense of not, you know, being concerned about yourself or black men. That's something that the Black Manosphere, by and large, speaks firmly against. And SKC down in the back, bringing you up in a second. Simple Shit TV says, "Are we saying degrading black men is suitable for entertainment? Support black male media." I don't know who said that. Who said, "Are we saying degrading black men is suitable for entertainment?" I don't think nobody.
I think
said
he's
that.
referring to Fresh and Fit.
Fresh and Fit degrades black men.
I think anybody with a Klan hood on, behaving as a buffoon is degrading black men.
Oh, okay.
Well,
I'm assuming that's who he's talking about.
Yeah, he's probably talking about, like, you know, if we speak in negativity.
I don't. Okay. I don't hear them speaking in negativity too much. I do. They okay. A Klan hood skit is maybe a bit too far. I mean, yeah. All right, cool. I mean, I'm not gonna fight nobody. I'm not gonna fight nobody on that one. All right, but SKC in the building. SKC in the building. You have the floor. You have the mic. Forgive me if I misinterpreted your somewhat seemingly cryptic comments and super chats where I didn't know exactly who or what you were talking to when you kept saying win at any cost, or people who don't have morals or ethics or this or that. I made some assumptions that you can clear up, but go ahead.
Yeah, there's no problem. I did a show about that very topic yesterday, winning at all costs. Had an open panel about it. A lot of people came up, talked about the whole thing for quite a long time. I think True Hype was there for several hours and whole nine. But I was just looking at the ideology as a whole, kind of looking at it from the 30,000 you know point in the air where you're just looking down at that, get an aerial on the whole thing. And in general, I think that I find it interesting how there is a growing amount of people who pretty much just crap on the idea of ethics and morality and principles and all of those things, and have like an idea that, hey, you got to do whatever to win. That's what you got to do. So, I mean, when it comes to the whole Fresh and Fit thing, the chick, I mean, they're doing whatever they got to do to win. So I understand if people are appalled at them from some sort of viewpoint of, that's not the right thing to do. But it's like, good grief. If you don't believe in right and wrong, it's like who's anyone to say what is right or wrong?
Right there at that point. Hold on, wait. Right there at that point, I think you have to say who you're talking about. If you say, if you don't believe in right and wrong, I haven't seen.
There are a lot of people that believe that.
I know, but you go. You're
take for instance.
You're responding to the ether. Like, I mean, what are we talking about here?
That's what I'm saying. It's almost like you're trying to push me into something where there's nothing
well,
there.
No, okay, no,
I even saw.
Wait a minute. This is what I'm getting at here. I want to be clear. If you're going to criticize people who's criticizing them, and then you, on another hand, say there are people who don't believe in right and wrong, but you haven't established that the people who are criticizing them are also the same people who don't believe in right and wrong, then you just have a.
Let me give you an example.
I wanted you to connect the criticizer and the people who don't believe in right and wrong. That's why I came to the conclusion.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Let me give you an example. Let me give you an example. In many ways, Destiny doesn't believe in a right or wrong. He believes that there are a great fluidity of different views and options that people can take, and that they should do so, and that their viewpoints and mode of activity should flow with the times as they see fit, whatever makes them personally happy. He stated this on many occasions, and there are a lot of people who follow his viewpoint on a lot of things. So that's what I'm saying is like, looking back at the entire situation. Take for instance, you have like a person like a Destiny who will come and has made tons of criticisms about Fresh and Fit, but at the same time, he's a person that does not believe in a spectrum of right or wrong. So why are you criticizing people who are doing the exact same thing that you're doing? They're doing what they believe makes them happy and will ultimately lead them to a victory. So why would you criticize them? They're doing the same thing as you were doing.
All right, now you have landed the plane and pinned the tail on a donkey who holds all those views, who is very critical of certain people and think that he does speak from a perspective like some people are morally reprehensible, but he's also a self-admitted hedonist who just seeks his own pleasure and is liberal enough to be kind of shaky on what's right and what's wrong. Granted, you're not murdering or raping anybody, so yeah, I do understand. I do understand your point right there. But I've said this about Destiny, that he criticizes Myron Gaines and red pill this and red pill that. But I mean, if you listen to him enough to know like what type of lifestyle he's living, where he's he's with his girlfriend. He has his girlfriend or wife. They have sex with other people. She's bisexual, so they have sex together. They on that Adam 22 shit where so he's having threesomes with semi baddies on a regular basis. He's living the same lifestyle as Myron Gaines while criticizing, and he got that lifestyle off of his money and status, but he's criticizing what Myron Gaines and him was saying about money and status and hypergamy. But he's basically, Myron Gaines in a pussy hat if you look at his personal life. So
he's just winning a different way, but they're utilizing the same strategy.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I agree with that. So no, I get what you're doing. I get where you're going with that. All right. I thought some shots was being fired at somebody on the panel. So that's
well. I'm glad that's answered. Let me go on and get about my day, bro.
Well, can I piggyback on SKC what he was saying? Like there's a lot of things when we talk about this. People say just they get it how they live or whatever. And so like I talked about, like there's some ways that some people just say I'm not going to engage in certain activities to make money, right? So like example was when I was discussing like opening up a marijuana farm, it really bothered me, the concept of I understood how that was going to flow down into my own community. And I said ultimately I wasn't going to just sit there and basically sling drugs into the Black community just because it was legal and me profit. I just couldn't circle that, because I felt like that I would ultimately have to answer for that behavior at a later date, and I did not want to have that on me. So that's what I think people talk about morals and ethics, that some people say, hey, you know what, if I can just make some money doing it, or I can get to my goals, I'll do it. Then some people say, you know what, that makes me uncomfortable. I'm not going to do that because of X, Y, and Z, because I feel like that, though it's legal, that it's not for me, because it goes against some larger things that I think and care about.
I think the problem.
Go ahead.
I think the problem with the whole win at all costs, it doesn't matter what you do as long as you win, that works individually. So if you're a completely selfish individual and you have goals and you want to achieve them, and that's how you achieve them, no holds barred, no rules, yeah, that's fine, right? How do you raise your children like that? How do you have a society raised on that ethos? A society can't function if everybody says, fuck everybody else, I'm going to do me, there are no rules, there's only victory. That's not a society. That's a bunch of individual mercenaries waiting to kill each other.
Well, are you talking about? Wait a minute. Are you talking about somebody who wants if they're win at all costs? Are they talking about victory for their group? Then that's on some Malcolm X. He wants to accomplish his goals by any means necessary. But if you're just talking about whatever your hold on real quick,
okay,
mute up for a second.
Right.
If you're just talking about your individual win by any means necessary, fuck everybody, screw any and everybody over, then you're talking about something where no society can function like that. So if it's some larger
definition
goal,
of victory. I mean, it's pretty much definition of victory. Like if your definition of winning is a society where people are not screwed over, and you're screwing over people in order to get this, then you are really working against your purpose. I mean, what's going on is
Not necessarily. Okay, yeah, not necessarily. I wonder, yeah, if somebody said if I
Yeah,
fuck over if
yeah,
I hold
that's
on,
it.
wait, real quick, hear me out. If somebody says if I fuck over people, but by eliminating this problem and eliminating that and screwing all these people over, I can create. If I eliminate this threat, this reoccurring problem, I can create the society that that has peace and nobody gets screwed over. But I gotta fuck somebody over to do it. I don't know if that's a bad thing.
Well, you see, here's the thing.
That was literally the plot of the last Guardians of the Galaxy movie, by the way. That was literally the plan. But you got it, GC.
Oh, good point.
Yeah. So other groups of people, particularly Black women, are willing to push the envelope a lot further than Black people, Black men, I should say. A lot further. Not only would they, adopt feminism, they would also, kick the men out their house if given the first opportunity that they can, raise their son to be followers of the women. Create a state of perpetual poverty, as long as possible, as long as it means that they can have continued control over them. And they would pretty much do anything to sustain this current state of gynocracy that they currently have. Now, what are we willing to do to counter that? You see, like in yesterday, I gave the example of the American War, right? And somebody could say, oh, their whole win at any cost thing was, immoral or something like that, but really, weren't they just balancing the scales considering that the British had a superior situation? I mean, you could say that about anybody. You're just balancing your scale when facing superior odds.
I mean, there's some things that you do in warfare that are just they're not going to be conducive to after the war is over. So like if you enslave people and rape their women, like in war, they're going to be less likely to be as peaceful with you. They might just bide their time and split your necks in the night.
No,
exactly. So you do have to be careful with that.
Why, if your intention is to, have a peaceful colony and the people that you conquer in that way, then you would avoid doing such things as colonizers have in the past. I agree. It's actually written in Machiavelli to not do such things, to not violate the wives of subordinates and things like that. So you're absolutely right. But once again, it's your objective. See, it all depends on. I mean, the morality is really just a matter of what's your objective.
Yeah,
not the actions that you take to meet said objective.
Yeah, some outcomes are worth doing some questionable things to achieve them. Depend. If it's working towards a greater good, but that gets deep into some moral philosophy. But no, and I like those discussions. But but anyway, Uno in the building with the $5 super chat. He says, was Chappelle blind Black Klansman offensive? Selective outrage.
Well, the thing about anything is that anything is offensive to someone.
Well, his audience didn't laugh. His audience didn't laugh when he shot the Klan member when he went back in time.
No, you're talking about the Black Klansman. That was a different thing.
Oh, my bad. The Clayton Bigsby. The Clayton Bigsby. My bad.
Yeah.
No. I mean, everything is offensive to someone. I think that was probably more offensive to white supremacists than it was to Black people. Nevertheless, it was funny. I don't know what. Yeah.
And I think, and that's why I was not tripping on Myron putting on the KKK thing. I understand on the Klans thing. I understand it's an attempt at humor. I don't know. I haven't even really seen it. I've just seen the images and the thumbnail pictures of it. I'm 95% sure that he was trying to be funny. Whether or not it was funny or not, I don't know. I didn't see it, but yeah, whatever.
And that's another thing. Comedians are given comedic license because they're funny. That simply wasn't funny. In fact, when he put it on, one of the women were like, why? Which is a valid question. And she kept asking the question, like, why? Because, absent context, it really just looks like you're doing it to trigger people and provoke attention, which is what you were doing in a very corny and lame way. So and once again, like that really shows their perception, their race
That-
bias.
Like you would think that like her response, because it was the one that was sitting next to her, I believe. But like even when the other women were cheering for Nick to like do the thing, she shook her head like no. I mean, she didn't like go crazy with it, but you would think at least you would have that kind of response.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Dirty folks. Go ahead. You have we had the 3 hour shit. We had the 3 hour and 8 minute mark. So we probably about to possibly wrap this up soon. But go ahead, dirty folks. You got it.
I just wanted to ask Hood, how does one become a professional black? Like, do they pass out brochures? Is there like a creed, a mantra?
You got to go to the meetings, bro. The trick is nobody tells me where the meetings are, so I can't tell you. They keep me out of that shit.
I mean, if you have a professional black woman with a white supremacist, I didn't know. I don't really have a comment on that. I just really think the pro-black thing, to go back in time to that particular thing, like I just think the pro-black thing is interesting, because I know what pro-white is, right? I know what a professional white is. They're about the purity of the race. They're about making sure that their kids look like them. They're about either grasping or maintaining power. I understand what their brochure says. I just didn't know what the professional black brochure said. So I because you're a smart guy, so I was like, I'm gonna ask him.
Like I said, the pro-blacks, they spray perfume over shit. They spray cologne over funk in the black community, and they complain about white people. That's most of what they do. I do notice that they do allegedly, supposedly care about the purity of the black race to some degree. There's some few minor details that we can't talk too much about it, but there are some details with that. But overall, I mean, I have my view of that shit. And but anyway, go ahead, GC.
I don't know. I think that we may be misunderstanding what pro is in that particular context in both the black and white, because I know pro is shorthand version of saying professional, but it's also like pro as in pros and cons, meaning that the affirmative of something versus the negative of it. So I think that when a person is saying that they're pro-white, they're they are in the affirmative of whiteness, and when a person says that they're pro-black, they believe that they are in the affirmative of blackness. Now, it's practiced in, vastly different ways, but I think that that's what the name came from.
You know what? Freeman Zoo said them pro-blacks love smashing on white women. You know what, bro? And that's my thing too. Like, every time I turn around, you have black women comparing themselves to white men, ironically enough, never black men. And you have black men who say they're pro-black that will sacrifice everything for black women, then marry an Asian chick. Like, you would think that they would be together. I don't understand the rules, man.
Well, that's
a whole archetype right now.
Yeah, well, I was speaking on it earlier. The way the community is structured is really both sides trying to manipulate the other, both the men and the women, but primarily the women. Men are using pro-black as a way to get easy access to the women who are they attempting to. It's not working, but they're attempting to use pro-blackness as a way to get easy access to women who also are pro-black, and the women are doing the same to the men. And because it's not working, because they're trying to hustle each other, so to speak, they just wind up finding other people.
All right. We gonna call it right there. We had the 3 hour 12 minute mark. So shout out to everybody in the building, everybody supported the stream in any way, shape, or form. Do appreciate each and every one of you. Special thanks and acknowledgement to Machismo TV.
Welcome to Machismo TV, the ultimate destination for modern men seeking to upgrade their lifestyle. Subscribe to Machismo TV and Saul T-Balls. We stream daily from 12 midnight to 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, the best male-centric content. Highlight reels without reviewing or providing any editorial bias to the content. We have done so much, with so little for so long, we are now qualified to do anything, with nothing.
All right. Shout out to Machismo TV. Shout out to everybody who supported the stream in any way, shape, or form. Appreciate each and every one of you. And with that said, ladies and gentlemen, we are out of here. Peace. We gone.